Part 289. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2893. The heavy burden of conquering the White God Kingdom is placed on the two major armies of the Black God system. The God of War, Black Tiger, is recognized as the strongest person in the Black God system besides the Black God. He is responsible for one of them. The fairy goddess Jingling, who coexists with beauty and wisdom, is in charge of another front. There has been a debate within the Black God system about which of the two gods is more powerful, but compared to the debate about who is stronger, Qingling seems to enjoy the title of Fairy Qingling. The so-called attack on the kingdom of God is, in a sense, a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Most of these mountains of corpses were captured troops. The war progressed at a rapid pace, mostly due to the Black God system style of play that kept pace with the times. When you are losing, there is a losing style of play; when you are in an advantage, there is an advantageous play style, and when you are advancing, there is an advancing style of play. For example, when it comes to sieging cities and plundering territory, the Black Gods initially exhausted manpower and material resources, and each time they suffered heavy casualties before they could capture the target. However, a certain general had an idea and replaced it with a prisoner camp, and the war suddenly became much easier. The dead and wounded also belong to the prisoners. Although this method is somewhat unkind, who cares so much about things in wartime? It is satisfying enough to not kill one's own people. The rumbling sound is endless. Because there were a large number of Black God-type soldiers watching behind them, the original White God-type troops in the prison camp had no choice but to go in. They have already stated that they are willing to defect. Even if they talk about loyalty now, it is impossible to gain the recognition of the White God department, and they can only go to the dark side. He has died 100 times, but if he is lucky enough to survive, he will be sincerely accepted by the Black Gods. Get out of the way and let me try it. Suddenly, a terrifying behemoth appeared from the Black God camp behind him. The appearance of this huge beast caused an uproar from both sides. You must know that although there are rumors among the Black and White Gods that monsters several kilometers in size are assisting them in fighting, there are only a handful of actual witnesses. Today, this behemoth appeared in front of everyone, which immediately shattered many people's claims that the rumors of the behemoth were exaggerated. In fact, the behemoth, which is several kilometers long, is far more majestic than imagined. Under everyone's silent attention, the roaring monster crashed into the outer layer of Bashan. The moment the White God Kingdom came into contact, ripples far greater than before suddenly appeared on the surface, and bursts of patterns spread across the surface like waves. What was originally just a pale white defensive shield flashed into a terrifying whiteness that had never been seen before. In the white space, the first-level star expert was not ejected by the counter-shock force like the previous venerable level experts. Instead, it was deeply embedded in this defense, squeezing the white magic defense into pieces, as if it was almost able to break through the defense. This is too scary. Everyone around looked dumbfounded. The defense of Bashan Kingdom is definitely a god-level power, but under the impact of this behemoth, it was almost knocked away, which shows that the strength of this creature is at least a god level. My lord, I disappoint you. However, after such a collision, the first-level Star Warrior stopped attacking. He turned around in a daze and shook his head at Black Tiger. He has run out of strength. It is not impossible to hit him again, but it will cause his strength to weaken. If there is a strong person from the White God system inside who sees the right time to attack him, he may be killed. After all, they came in person and took their own safety very seriously. It's okay, you can go and rest. The Black Tiger God of War, who is a powerful person at the level of Domain Lord in the outside world, can see it more clearly. The seemingly shaky defenses of the White God country actually still have some room left. Even if the star's primary powerhouse hits it a few more times, it should be difficult to cause any defensive danger to that area. Should it be said that it is worthy of the defense of Bashan Kingdom? He shook his head. I've known for a long time that this would be the case. Senior, what do you think? Not far away, Qingling flew forward to this area. Her army in another direction also adopted a similar strategy, but it was obviously difficult to knock the White God Kingdom away by force. Obviously not every area of the Bashan Kingdom has defenses that are as difficult to break as the Venerable level, but the wonderful thing about their magic is that it can instantly transfer most of the energy to the direction of the attack, making it very difficult to break through. Black Tiger shook his head. I think so too, but I found a way. Qingling smiled thoughtfully. As an external genius with good intelligence, Qingling is indeed stronger than Senior Black Tiger in this regard. Oh? What did you find? Black Tiger looked at her with a half-smile. He knew that this little girl was going to show off. Yes, Hai-Hu, as an old-timer in the outside world, can see many things through his own life experience. So many people outside, including Jia Yan, misunderstood Qingling's identity as a male in the outside world. In fact, he recognized this as a real girl as early as the initial alliance. Here, she revealed her true identity. It's a pity. It would be nice if she could reveal her identity to everyone outside. It shows that she doesn't fully trust these companions who have only formed an alliance for a short time. What I discovered is that when you collided just now, our impact had just ended, and then the shaking of the defensive cover was obviously more serious than our first impact. Oh, Black Tiger was stunned for a moment and asked, do you want to say that this defensive shield is linked and only needs to attack several places at the same time to break it? Yes, doesn't Senior think so? Well, it's not impossible. At least it's possible to try. Then let's do it like this. I'll have people arrange a few more powerful attack points. Of course, this defensive shield may not be that simple. There may only be a few weak points. We need to be patient and test it. Then let's test it out, but be careful about the group of turtles inside taking the opportunity to attack. As long as you and I are here, it should be okay. The two talked and quickly determined the next offensive technique. Not long after, Qingling arranged a large number of people, who were divided into 10 teams, and the 10 teams were all led by powerful men at the Venerable level. Even the Invincible Realm accounts for half of the captains. Senior, I'm ready to start, you can let this one contradict me. Good. Qingling gave a few instructions and sent people away to a location far away from where Black Tiger was stationed. 10 teams were quickly in place. Perhaps because they sensed the movement of the two troops here, the Bashan troops who were defending within the Bashan kingdom received orders from their superiors with solemn expressions to attack them from a distance when they moved. This Bashan kingdom is quite shameless. You can't attack inside, but the people inside can easily pour attacks outside. As a result, as soon as the 10 teams were dispersed, there were attrition of troops. Big guy, work harder and don't be defeated by difficulties. As long as we win the first place to invade the White God Kingdom, our names will be remembered in history. Many of Qingling's subordinates are also good at publicity work. When the slogans are shouted, everyone suddenly feels like they have been injected with blood. Come on. After everyone was in place, the 10 teams, supported by the friendly forces behind them, quickly rushed towards the White God Kingdom's defense cover, and then, as if they were sacrificing their lives for righteousness, they all unleashed the most amazing attack in this life. And this attack includes those at the Venerable level and even the Invincible level. Of course, what is more terrifying is not these 10 places, but the more terrifying place is the area controlled by the Black Tiger God of War. The behemoth appears again and crashes into the White God Kingdom's defense barrier. With everyone stunned, they saw that the Bashan Kingdom's defense shield was in trouble everywhere, and was knocked around in an instant. The star-level monster, which was half a beat behind, hit the defensive cover. The defensive cover stirred up waves that had never been seen before. Then, like a bubble, it broke into pieces with a pop. Ah! The defense is broken. The defense of Bashan Kingdom has been broken. If we don't attack it now, when will we wait? After that, the entire Black God Department troops advanced with overwhelming momentum. But behind the protective shield, the White God troops, who originally only dared to use hidden guns, were stunned. They originally thought that their own kingdom of God's defense should be impregnable, but they didn't expect that after several attempts, they were really crushed by the Black God system. Now it's a big deal. Wow! There was a strong man in front of him who was killed by a blow from the same level entered by the Black God system. The Black God Department's momentum was like a rainbow, while the White God Department was completely stunned. The instant contact between the two sides caused the first wave of huge losses to the White God Department's defenders. But the White God type troops are not vegetarians either. Those who have survived until now are most likely from the elite class. If they really want to fight, the Black God type troops currently surrounding the White God Kingdom should not be enough to watch. So after the first wave of confusion, the White God type troops regrouped and did not collapse, because Ben also collapsed to no one knows where. The so-called sad soldiers must win. For a while, after the White God troops regrouped, they relied on their tragic strength to resist the Black God troops. The gods of the Black God system also wanted to take the opportunity to seal the victory. However, the gods of the White God system were not indifferent. Before they could take action, a strong man of the same level appeared next to them, and they started to fight each other. The God-level experts were unable to forcefully enter the battle, and the strength of the two sides was not much different at all. As a result, the war was fiercely fought on the edge of the White God Kingdom, and it was evenly divided for a while. Until the White God sect seized the opportunity at a certain point in the war, and with a slight advantage, pushed the entire Black God sect army out of the edge of the White God section. Someone with a powerful spirit saw the opportunity and raised the defensive shield. Both sides have a chance to breathe. This battle. It was a brutal beating. Is this the fighting power of the White Gods who were forced to a dead end? It turns out that they are not that weak. Haha, maybe this is called returning to the light. People from the White God system are still struggling to their death. A large number of people from the Black God Department troops were chatting away. It seems that people are very confident, but everyone has a gloomy look on their face. The casualties were too great. This time it was a head-on confrontation without any tricks. The number of Black God's troops killed and injured was more than the total number of casualties after they invaded the hinterland of the White Gods. This shows that after the White Gods have unleashed their true desperate strength, their combat effectiveness will probably be no better than that of the Black Gods. How much weaker is the system? In the past, there was only a problem with the military's top brass and their will to fight. Now that I'm forced to a dead end, I'm really desperate and I've used all my potential. So when the person who seemed to be making fun of him returned to the troops' resting place, his face showed varying degrees of solemnity. They don't know if they will be the next to die, or if they will be their military friends. After this battle, people realized clearly that the White God line was the White God line. The previous advantage in warfare would no longer be able to continue smoothly at this point. This is still a situation where the gods have not been exhausted. If the gods are exhausted, the war situation may suddenly change, and any unexpected situation may occur. Damn it, if we had one more god-level master just now, the entire defense system of the White God system would have collapsed. The Black Tiger God of War, the former Tiger Master, was furious in his tent. There was no way, this battle was unsatisfactory. Qingling had given such a good plan, but it was a pity that the combat echelons of the two troops could not take advantage of such a good advantage. But behind the protective shield, the White God troops who originally only dared to shoot hidden guns, everyone jaw-dropping. They originally thought that their own kingdom of God's defense should be impregnable, but they didn't expect that after several attempts, they were really crushed by the Black God system. Now it's a big deal. Wow! There was a strong man in front of him who was killed by a blow from the same level entered by the Black God system. The Black God department's momentum was like a rainbow, while the White God department was completely stunned. The instant contact between the two sides caused the first wave of huge losses to the White God department's defenders. But the White God type troops are not vegetarians either. Those who have survived until now are most likely from the elite class. If they really want to fight, the Black God type troops currently surrounding the White God kingdom should not be enough to watch. So after the first wave of confusion, the White God type troops regrouped and did not collapse, because Ben also collapsed to no one knows where. The so-called sad soldiers must win. For a while, after the White God troops regrouped, they relied on their tragic strength to resist the Black God troops. The gods of the Black God system also wanted to take the opportunity to seal the victory. However, the gods of the White God system were not indifferent. Before they could take action, a strong man of the same level appeared next to them, and they started to fight each other. The God-level warriors were unable to forcefully enter the battle, and the strength of the two sides was not much different at all. As a result, the war was fiercely fought on the edge of the White God kingdom, and it was evenly divided for a while. Until the White God sect seized the opportunity at a certain point in the war, and with a slight advantage, pushed the entire Black God sect army out of the edge of the White God section. Someone with a powerful spirit saw the opportunity and raised the defensive shield, and immediately let the both sides have a chance to breathe. This battle. It was a brutal beating. Is this the fighting power of the White Gods who were forced to a dead end? It turns out that they are not that weak. Haha, maybe this is called returning to the light. People from the White God system are still struggling to their death. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2894. Jia Yan didn't bother to explain to her and waved the little girl to find the truth on her own. Good. Jia Lin's eyes lit up and she flew out of the temple neatly. She had wanted to go out for fun for a long time, but she was afraid that Jia Yan would say that she was not doing her job properly, so she didn't dare to bring it up. If you go out today according to the order, you are not neglecting your duties. This little guy. Jia Yan smiled and watched her leave. Although Jia Lin has grown a lot recently, it does not hinder the fact that she is still a child. Jia Yan is not worried about the underworld affairs, because Jia Lin has done a good enough job and has recently taken control of the situation. It will probably take less than a few days to completely calm things down there. Hell has become a reliable mobile tool again, but this mobile tool is not as easy to use as it was originally. But I don't need it to have such a huge transportation capacity. There are only a few reasons for the existence of the underworld at first. The first is that the souls also have combat power, and as a combat power system, they send troops to the outside world. The second is its ability to move quickly. As long as you enter it, it will move at a speed comparable to the speed of light. Of course, it cannot be compared like this. The two are not the same system. The second is that there is a strong publicity effect there. But at this point, more than 2/3 of the underworld has been destroyed, and the surviving souls now have the idea of not trusting the Black God system. I am afraid that this matter will not be easily reversed, at least in this war it is difficult to change before the end, so it is difficult to use them as ordinary soldiers. It just so happened that the convenience of transporting materials from the underworld to the outside was no longer feasible. The White God system destroyed not only the land of the underworld, but also the core energy, making it more difficult to open the passage from the underworld to the outside. The most it could transport at a time was there were dozens of people, and the transportation capacity was cut off. Therefore, Jia Yan directly excluded the underworld system from the final war. What he values only is the transferability that the underworld still has. A large number of troops cannot move there. A single person, such as Jia Yan himself, can move out of the underworld much faster if there is any problem on the front line. Otherwise, letting him move in the black space will be much slower. Everything, after Jia Yan's drastic improvements and arrangements, has long been due to the east wind. What we are waiting for is that the situation in Bashan Kingdom has changed. Under the siege of the Black Gods, the front line cannot remain unchanged. When there are changes and the opponent starts to counter-attack in a large way, it is the time for Jia Yan to attack. Maybe next time, it will be time for you and me to decide the winner. This power-devouring battle that has lasted for several years should also come to an end. In fact, Jia Yan was quite speechless. In order to devour his own power, the White Dolphin did not hesitate to create such a world space and wasted such a long time. In the end, his own performance in it was like a weak chicken. Jia Yan wanted to ask, "What are you begging for?" He doesn't do anything, he just comes to stir up trouble with his opponent, and then he runs around like a clown during the fight. In fact, to put it bluntly, there are actually many such people in society, but few of the enemies Jia Yan has encountered before are so interesting. This is the first time he has encountered such contradictory people, and it has opened his eyes. Of course, saying that White Dolphin is a rookie does not mean that he is a novice in everything. If he were replaced by someone of the same level, or some other weak person, White Dolphin would still be the senior domain master, and his strategizing ability would probably not be so bad. To put it bluntly, this war was just a combination of the White Dolphin's various unfavorable factors, which gave people the illusion that he was extremely useless. Maybe his last resort will horrify me. Jia Yan still doesn't underestimate his opponents. On this day, inside the Bashan Kingdom, which was stubbornly resisting, resources have become increasingly scarce. Bashan Kingdom seems to be a huge system based on planets, but it depends on what kind of life the Bashan Kingdom wants to maintain. If they want to gradually evolve into the life of ordinary humans, a planet plus a circle of starry sky as an entity is enough for them to thrive. However, there are a large number of troops here, plus many strong men, and the military supplies and training supplies for the strong men they need every day are not a small amount. When the Black Gods besieged the White Gods, and troops came to besiege them from time to time, the consumption of supplies became even more serious, which led to the White Gods' army beginning to continuously reduce the supply of soldiers and strong men. Dissatisfied voices sounded from time to time. A large number of soldiers communicated privately, saying that they were loyal enough, but they did not feed them and were used like livestock. This battle was really boring. Morale began to get lower and lower. In a sense, this situation will definitely happen. Just like so many gods in the White God system, they are now stretched thin, not to mention supplies, and even the desire to win has basically disappeared. In a battle the day before yesterday, a god-level master tried to deliberately release water. He died under the hands of Black Tiger. If others hadn't seen this and caught him with quick hands, he might have succeeded. Afterwards, no one mentioned this matter openly, and the powerful spiritual man turned red-faced and rarely communicated with others anymore, but the impact he caused was extremely far-reaching. Originally, most of the god-level masters were fighting with similar emotions. This person gave them a pretty good example, and someone started this, why couldn't they? I know what you are thinking, but you have to think clearly whether it will really be what you want if you are defeated now. On this day, seeing that the situation was out of control, White Dolphin summoned all the gods. This is the unprecedented first call in recent times. Even if some people don't want to come, they still come with a little curiosity. I didn't think about anything. The middle-aged man who was in charge of the overall situation came out with a smile. The White Dolphin glanced at him lightly, and then grinned sarcastically, seemingly smiling, but full of sarcasm. This middle-aged man, who is considered to be older among his current subordinates, should have wanted to take charge of the overall situation at that time. But White Dolphin thought that he had seen through his thoughts and that he was just another person who wanted to stand up to him, so he blocked this person's thoughts. The result was obvious. After failing to achieve his wish, this person gave up on himself and now he is with other people. Just like his subordinates, they are acting badly. Fortunately, I didn't believe him at first. Actually, White Dolphin himself didn't know what the outcome would be if he believed in this person in the first place, but now that the matter has come to this, he can't say that he was wrong. No matter what you are thinking, just think that what I say next is just talking to myself. The White Dolphin waved his hand indifferently. Some people, well, I'm not talking about you, just some people, want to deliberately die, and then leave the outside world, then leave the Orion arm, and separate their territory and power from my family, thinking that I will be ruined and even die here. We didn't think so. Okay, I told you that I was talking to myself, you can listen to me if you like. The White Dolphin interrupted someone's interruption again angrily, and said, but have you ever thought about the old seniors who went out first? Old guys, what are they planning? Hee, I don't believe it anymore. If I can get out alive, my family will be the same as before. Some of them won't lose on purpose. Doing some little tricks. As soon as these words came out, everyone's expressions changed. In fact, they all know that there are not so many loyal people among the so-called bi-family elders. Human nature itself is complex enough, and coupled with the attributes of a strong person, it is destined that this matter cannot be as simple as the former master entrusting the orphan, and the loyal ministers carrying out the former master's raising plan. They all know that some of the older generation's little tricks in private are much more than they imagined. Suppressing this young master actually had the idea of holding the emperor hostage to order the princes. It's just that they didn't expect that after the young master's temperament was so weak and useless by them, he would find another way, and his talent in cultivation would be so terrifying that he could vaguely surpass the old master. So they have already been arranging it. Is it really just a coincidence that the older generations died one after another in this battle? All the young and strong sex fell silent. There was total silence. Okay, now that you have thought of something, I will tell you straight to the point. The intelligence in my hand shows that even if I go out, a large number of rights will be cut off, and you, to be honest, I have no reason to believe that the old guy will not accept your assets and territory smoothly. Compared with this young master, you are like ants, do you admit this? As soon as these words came out, everyone looked ugly, and they may have wanted to refute, but when they looked back, it was really like this. The young master's strength, identity, status, and position in the hearts of the people far surpassed them. If the older generation dares to attack the young master, then they can just take advantage of their territory and no one dares to resist. I believe that if they have already captured your property or territory in the outside world, or if they intend to capture it, they may not choose to apologize to you for their hard work immediately after you leave, and they will probably not contribute to the war. For similar crimes, detaining you, or even killing you directly on the spot, is the guarantee that they can get the greatest benefit. After all, the dead cannot speak. Such simple words were spoken, and the scene continued to be silent. However, some people's faces were already ugly. Especially those who know those old things relatively well took a half step back and thought a lot. They always felt that the young master's head turned quite accurately this time. I am afraid that this is the action being performed outside. The middle-aged man who had previously wanted to take the lead in the affairs was slightly startled, then clasped his fists and said, "Young master, what do you think we should do?" "What should I do?" "Actually, I want to ask you this. What do you want to do?" The White Dolphin feels that he has never been so wise. With his tongue blooming like a lotus flower, he uttered these words to stabilize the morale of the army, and now he has reaped the rewards. In fact, these words were not prepared by him, but were specially told to him by the female military god before she left. Otherwise, regardless of whether the old guys outside really intend to kill the Qingzhuang sect and silence him, they only say that it is absolutely impossible for him to leave. When the Qingzhuang sect leaves, he will face a huge number of black gods alone. And we have to deal with Jia Yan, a being who is similar in strength to his clone in this world, and I'm afraid the odds are against him. Yes, these are all words. And it's a conspiracy. Everyone present knew that the White Dolphin said these words just to force them to turn to him. But what the White Dolphin said is right. Everyone looked solemn. After a while, the middle-aged man finally sighed and clasped his fists. "Young master, I have suddenly come to my senses. I would like to ask you to tell me what to do next. I will go through fire and water without hesitation." Among the people behind him, some looked at the middle-aged man strangely. You know, among this group of people, many of them were actually instigated by this middle-aged man to estrange themselves from the White Dolphin with his words intentionally or unintentionally when he came to them to drink and chat. Unexpectedly, in just a few words, the guy who instigated others would switch sides. Those who were more flexible in thinking also stepped forward and said with fists in their hands, "I have also realized my mistake. How do you want to act, young master? Please tell me directly." Not long after, other people walked out together. "I will go up to the mountain of knives and go down to the sea of fire, no matter what." Seeing everyone below him finally turning towards him sincerely, White Dolphin, who had never experienced such a feeling of unity among all people, felt his eyes filled with tears. "Okay, as long as you all can work together, I believe that we will be able to defeat Jia Yan first, and then follow me out, confront the old guys, and then restore the leadership of my bi-family alliance, our past glory. Please get up quickly. For the current plan, it is important to discuss a strategy to deal with the enemy that is in line with the progress of the war." The White Dolphin's face glowed red, and it even had the thought of hope again. Because it was the first time for him to have such an experience of being loved by his people. Unfortunately, this is just an illusion again. After all, the biggest enemy, or opponent, of the black gods he dealt with had never left the word human heart from the beginning to the end. One opponent seems to have woken up, but he improvises at a desperate moment, while the other has not made any big mistakes along the way. You think, comparing these two sides, who has a better chance of winning? You can't turn the situation around from the beginning to the end just because of your small awakening, right? That's not called reality, it's called a miracle. Don't do it 6 times. Looking at the center of the hall, Edisha returned home. She and Jiolin played a certain video game that was popular in the Black God series recently. They killed the enemy several times and shouted out the internet term "basics don't 6." Jia Yan was so angry. Don't hit any place. These two little guys were fine when they were separated. Jiolin was a normal and good girl, while Aditha found it difficult to cause trouble when she was alone. But now it's better, the two merge into one. It's like turning on some magical switch, a chemical reaction. The two of them create the effect of 10 women coming together. What's more, they had been separated for several days. To use an inappropriate metaphor, a little separation was more joyful than a wedding. Please remember the first domain name of this book. Dingdian Novel Mobile Version Reading Website. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2895. The so-called war. Most people subconsciously think that it is just a fierce battle between the two sides. In fact, this statement is correct, but other key points in the war are all-encompassing. For example, in the aspect of mentality construction, a bad move will cause the side with superior combat power to lose blood. Jia Yan, who is well versed in this, cares about it even more. Not only the mentality of others, but also the invincible will of oneself needs to create an indomitable momentum in order to defeat the white dolphin in the final battle. Otherwise, he would win in every aspect, and end up losing the duel between the king and the white dolphin. That would really be a failure. Haven't you felt the white dolphin's trump card? This is impossible. Jia Yan's biggest uncertainty about the white dolphin is the backhand that the white dolphin has hidden until now. This backhand definitely exists, but the way he still holds the pipa and half covers his face makes Jia Yan extremely afraid. Replying to Lord Bing Jia Yan, we really didn't feel any backlash. Could it be that there is no such thing at all? Leda and others sent clones, just below the Black Temple. They brainstormed, and some said they could just attack the White God Kingdom, while others wanted to stand still. Others had the same idea as Jia Yan, wanting to see clearly what the White Dolphins and their backup plans were before making a decision. However, they have not yet developed the idea of kidnapping Jia Yan's will. After all, in the Black God system, or working under Jia Yan's banner for so long, they know that this powerful man has his own will. Asking for your opinion is not asking you to come up with an idea. Even if he adopts your opinion, it is just that he thinks it is appropriate after using his own brain, and there will definitely be benefits that you cannot see. Everyone still admires Jia Yan's personal combat effectiveness and ability to command combat operations. This is an ability he has been developing since he was weak, and he also went to the Galactic Central Star Territory. It is said that he has played a key role in the war inside the higher-level black hole area of the Galactic Central Star Territory. This kind of his resume exceeds that of anyone present, who would be dissatisfied. It must be impossible in the current Orion arm to evolve into the situation like that of the White Dolphin. Well, since you have so many opinions, let's do this. I'll give you a chance to vote. This time I will adopt your plan as much as possible. Jia Yan is actually struggling. If you keep waiting for clues from the White Dolphins, you will be delaying for too long. The last time he went out to the outside world, although the White Dolphins did not take the initiative to attack the Orion arm, sporadic fighting had not stopped. He seriously doubted that the galaxy-level powerhouses who had been killed recently would tell the outside world what was going on here. The situation may lead to hysterical attacks on the Orion arm. Other places were fine, but he would not forgive himself if the Earth suffered losses. Voting begins soon. The results of the voting surprised Jia Yan. Most of you want to invade the White God Kingdom directly. Originally, he thought that his safe idea, which was to wait for a while and then invade the Baitian Kingdom, would be valued by more people. But thinking about it in retrospect, this group of subordinates who followed him into the world of creation were, to put it bluntly, franchisees, working together to fight against the White Dolphin forces, and what they cared more about was their own strength. In the creative world, Jia Yan was able to improve in strength, but others did not improve as quickly as expected. Even if Jia Yan keeps saying that they will get a huge improvement in energy sensing when they go out, even if what Jia Yan says is correct, after a few years of window period, their body energy has not grown at all. They must have panicked. Improving energy induction cannot make up for it. At least they don't know how much energy induction can increase in this world. Maybe not at all, which means several years were wasted for no reason. How could they not be in a hurry? Jia Yan was silent for a moment. The people below voted by secret ballot, and now they all smiled bitterly and looked at each other. They didn't know why this option was pushed to the first choice. I hope Jia Yan won't be angry with them, otherwise he will have a hard time in the future. Well, since you have made such a vote decision, then let it be as you wish. There is nothing wrong with us taking some risks in this battle. Jia Yan finally sighed. All the subordinates were overjoyed. Sure enough, compared to Jia Yan and the White Dolphin, they are two extremes. White Dolphin is incompetent and narrow-minded, and his subordinates have always put pressure on him. Although his opinions are often denied by his subordinates, he can't get used to it at all, and he will hold a grudge every time. Jia Yan is different. He rarely gets refuted opinions, and of course rarely accepts other people's opinions. But the attitude he shows now is generous, and he is completely able to accept the requests of his subordinates. However, it is obvious that there is a premise in this matter, that is, any of the several options can be chosen in Jia Yan's eyes. He has no preference, so he can naturally accept the decisions of his subordinates. Otherwise, why don't you give it a try? The votes are out, let's attack with force. Be prepared. The white dolphins and the others are stubbornly resisting. I'll wait for a full-scale war to show them. It's not that our black god system doesn't have the ability to attack head-on, but once we attack, it will be overwhelming. Yes. All the subordinates were shaken and ordered to retreat. Prior to this, Jia Yan had already made several plans for the deployment of troops. Master, is there going to be a war? Editha flew out of the room. After playing together for a long time, Jialin and Edisha returned to their avatars and entered the final moment of peace in the underworld. Presumably after the war above has rekindled, the underworld is about to enter a time when the dust has settled. You little fool, why are you so stupid? Isn't the war always going on? Jia Yan laughed and rarely touched little Edisha's head. Edisha hesitated and threw herself into Jia Yan's arms. She buried her head in Jia Yan's chest and rubbed her head. Haha, I know what you are thinking. Jia Yan rubbed the guy who looked more and more like a human little girl. Edisha fell silent, which was rare. Jia Yan sighed and said, you are afraid of being separated from Jialin, right? Speaking of which, you two were actually born in this world, but you have the intellectual memory of the outside world, and you two have been together since not long after you were born. When we are together, we have a very good relationship. Edisha hummed. She really couldn't let go of Jialin. Because it is impossible for Jialin in this world to go to the outside world with them. We do not mention whether there will be any problems with the body of the living body in this created world after going to the Milky Way. We only talk about Jialin going out. What should we do if we bump into Jialin on the Earth? This is a huge ethical issue. She knows everything, so she won't tell Jialin to go out too. Don't worry, I have already thought of a way to let creation world follow us as much as possible. Of course, the premise is that we will win a big victory and kill the white dolphins in this world. Otherwise, creation world will definitely be a big problem. Hidden danger. Jia Yan comforted her. Good. Edisha flew out of Jia Yan's arms and nodded happily. As long as the created world moves with them, Editha can come in and play with Jialin anytime and anywhere. Then when are we going to hunt white dolphins? Editha asked. Don't worry, they are the defeated generals now. Even if they are given a period of time to hide their capabilities and bide their time, there will be no improvement in the one-star land of Bashan Kingdom. Fight whenever you want. You can stay as long as you want. Time. Edisha was stunned for a moment, then nodded, but immediately shook her head halfway through. She is complex. I want to stay in the creative world, but I also want to go out to the normal world with Jia Yan immediately. After all, although she has inherited the memory of the outside world, according to the actual description, she is actually a very unique life form, and her real survival experience can only be found in this world. She wanted to see what it would be like to go outside and see the real universe. Anyway, be prepared. Maybe in these few days, maybe next month, we will have a winner with the white dolphin. Don't be reluctant to leave us then. All right. There was a rare hint of growth written on Addis's childish face. Knowing that the little guy was in a bad mood, Jia Yan didn't talk to her much and asked her to go outside and play by herself. At this time, the hall became quiet again. Even Jia Yan was a little disinterested. With nothing going on, he activated his black god power in this world. As we all know, in this world, the basic power is Jia Yan's yin and yang Dao power, and the Bai family's ancestral ability possessed by White Dolphin. What Jia Yan and he are competing for is the other's energy that exists in this world. The two of them have very similar talents. They are both subdimensional talents. Although they are not compatible in energy, due to the chaotic nature of the creation of the world, the imprint of cultivation on their powers was wiped out, eventually creating two creation gods. A situation that can be swallowed up. Although the subordinates can also devour, their speed and perception level are obviously not as high as theirs. In the main hall, black energy filled all the corners for a while, and for a while, white power overwhelmed the black. The guards outside were all silent, thinking that some white god had come to the black temple to fight with the black god. Fortunately, it was not like Jia Yan had never practiced like this before. After thinking about it for a long time, they finally gave up and broke in to observe the situation. Call. Half a day passed and Jia Yan let out a long breath. I have studied the so-called power of the god of creation to the extreme. Now if I want to pretend to be a white dolphin, as long as I don't look at my face, even if I use the power of the white god, there will be many invincible realms who will mistake me for it. Jia Yan can already control the conversion of black and white power at will. This kind of white power comes from the white dolphin. Presumably the white dolphin has also swallowed a similar amount of black power. If he can abandon his identity as the heir of the Bai family and use a similar trick to deceive his subordinates, Jia Yan, what else can he do? It might actually make people fearful. But white dolphins don't do that. It's one thing whether you think about it or not. Even if you think about it, a guy of this background wouldn't bother to do such a thing. Of course, Jia Yan seems to have the self-esteem of a strong man, and there is a high probability that he will not do it unless it is absolutely necessary. I don't know, if I take this black god clone and the power I feel from hundreds of clones and instill it into my real body, how much my real body will be strengthened. Jia Yan was silent, looking forward to it. Unlike Edisha, he is looking forward to getting out of this world of creation. He has gone through too many separations and reunions, and he has long lost the love between his children. Not to mention that as long as the measures are taken properly, there is a high probability that this created world will not be destroyed by their war. That way, he can re-enter anytime and anywhere, and there is no need to feel sad. Grown-ups. Suddenly, when Jia Yan was practicing and was a little distracted, a hurried figure rushed in outside the hall. Jia Yan frowned. He knew that the people who could directly enter the Black God's hall without going through the guards were his so-called god-level subordinates. And if they do this, something big must be happening. Buzz. After the energy converged, Jia Yan calmly opened his eyes and looked at the subordinate who had just rushed into the hall. He asked calmly, "What's wrong?" The person who came was indeed Leda. "Sir, there are changes on the front line." Leda looked solemn and cupped his fists. "Oh. I want to stay in the creative world, but I also want to go out to the normal world with Jia Yan immediately. After all, although she has inherited the memory of the outside world, according to the actual description, she is actually a very unique life form, and her real survival experience can only be found in this world. She wanted to see what it would be like to go outside and see the real universe. Anyway, be prepared. Maybe in these few days, maybe next month, we will have a winner with the white dolphin. Don't be reluctant to leave us then." "All right." There was a rare hint of growth written on Addis's childish face. Knowing that the little guy was in a bad mood, Jia Yan didn't talk to her much and asked her to go outside and play by herself. At this time, the hall became quiet again. Even Jia Yan was a little disinterested. With nothing going on, he activated his black god power in this world. As we all know, in this world, the basic power is Jia Yan's yin and yang Dao power, and the Bai family's ancestral ability possessed by White Dolphin. What Jia Yan and he are competing for is the other's energy that exists in this world. The two of them have very similar talents. They are both subdimensional talents. Although they are not compatible in energy, due to the chaotic nature of the creation of the world, the imprint of cultivation on their powers was wiped out, eventually creating two creation gods. A situation that can be swallowed up. Although the subordinates can also devour, their speed and perception level are obviously not as high as theirs. In the main hall, black energy filled all the corners for a while, and for a while, white power overwhelmed the black. The guards outside were all silent, thinking that some white god had come to the black temple to fight with the black god. Fortunately, Jia Yan has never been like this in the past. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2896. So from the beginning to the end, no matter what tricks the white dolphin used to create the world, Jia Yan accompanied them one by one and calmly resolved them one by one. Because he has the ability to flip the table without playing. How could someone who couldn't possibly lose be so angry? Two figures marched in the black space and soon entered a world of death. This is the underworld. Tell me what the situation is. Jia Yan asked Leda beside him while flying. Leda said respectfully, the backhand of the white dolphin turned out to be, void shattering. Void shattered. Jia Yan was startled. He thought it was an existence above the middle level of a star. It's right to think about it. The strong people above the middle level of the star violate the laws of this world. Regardless of whether they are the ones who built this world or not, if White Dolphin allows the strong people above the middle level of the star to enter, it means the collapse of the world. He should not be so stupid. But what the hell is this void shattering? As a clever subordinate, Leda's ability to observe faces is extremely strong. When he saw Jia Yan frowning slightly, he immediately understood what Jia Yan was thinking and explained directly. Sir, the void shatter is based on destroying the world and completely empties a space. The destructive power it causes in an instant is comparable to that of a powerful person from the lower class of stars. Just now, one of our people died. Jia Yan's eyebrows condensed again. One of them died. Who was killed? Shimaru. Shimaru. Fortunately it's not Kurohu and the others. Jia Yan breathed a sigh of relief. Shimaru is a subordinate who was killed from the small world. In the outside world, he is a mid-level warrior in the galaxy. His strength is tyrannical, but he is far inferior to Black Tiger and Xingling. As long as it's not the two of them, the death of other subordinates including Leda will probably not have a big impact on the combat effectiveness of the entire Jia Yan side. Let's go over and see what's going on first. Jia Yan was afraid that other people would be killed by the white dolphins during the rush, so he speeded up. This backup plan was proactively released by White Dolphin to the Black Gods. It is difficult to guarantee that he has revealed all his backup plans. He might also be hiding a more powerful trump card. The forward speed increased, and the entire underworld space flew by underfoot. In the underworld space, it has already changed from the unrest of the past few days. A large number of wandering souls were comforted by the Holy Lady and stabilized. The leaders of the various drifting soul teams were killed and some fled, and some of them surrendered to the saint. Now that there is no strong person to command them, all the drifting souls are leaderless, and they will probably die within the next few days. Brother. A graceful girl directed the team forward on the ground. She raised her head in confusion on the way, her white neck like a swan. Is there another change on the front line? This time she returned to the Black Temple, not just for fun. She also obtained a lot of external intelligence from there, which can be regarded as keeping pace with the times. Now the only thing that can lead to the departure of his own Black God brother is the change on the front line. You guys set up camp here and I'll be back soon. Jiolin thought for a moment and believed that even if her clone set foot on the front line, there would be no danger at all. So she ordered her subordinates to take care of the soldiers on the front line, and she flew into the air herself. At the same time, Jia Yan sighed that his sister had grown up and had entered a much smaller door to the real world. This worldly great gate was recently erected and leads directly to the central area of the White God Department. As expected, he is going to the front line. Jia Lin saw something strange in this area from a distance, her heart skipped a beat, she bit her lip and followed in. Baishan Kingdom. There was a loud roar. The originally overwhelming White God-type troops seemed to have a chance to breathe. They regrouped inside the White God Kingdom, and some troops whose vitality was not seriously injured began to cooperate with the momentum of the explosion and attack the Black God-type troops. Fight back. The morale of the entire White God Department was greatly boosted. Lord Shirakami took action himself. When they were on the verge of collapse, they struck with a thunderous strike. This move not only gave the frontline troops of the White God Department, whose lives were hanging by a thread, a chance to breathe, but also allowed them to see clearly the gap between the creation god and ordinary gods. You know, Lord Bai Shen killed a powerful god from the Black God Department with just one blow. The soul is gone. This is not an invincible state, but a real god-level powerhouse. Only then did many people realize the gulf between ordinary gods and the Creator God. The Lord God is worthy of being the Lord God. Although most mortals cannot understand the difference between ordinary powerful gods, no matter who they are, they can crush the existence of the invincible state, but under the aura of the main god, they can still be killed with one blow. The eyes of many commanders of the White God-type troops lit up. They saw an opportunity to turn things around. As long as Lord Shirakami uses his invincible strength to kill most of the gods of the Black God family, wouldn't it be possible to quickly change the situation of the war? There are even many people who are complaining in their hearts, Lord Shirakami, you have such great power, why did you leave so early? Everyone was cheering. Even several white gods, the subordinates of the Qingzhuang sect brought into this world by the White Dolphin, were a little happy. However, the initiator, the White Dolphin, frowned. He calmly struck with a casual blow, and the space behind him turned into nothingness. Haihu and Qingling combined their efforts to eliminate the bait in one strike. He should be coming soon, right? White Dolphin asked calmly. The two outside domain masters, who had joined forces to fight the White Dolphin seemingly evenly, smiled together. Haihu shook his head, I didn't get the news, but you must have taken action. He should be arriving soon. In both hands of Qingling are the red silks of the immortal cultivation system. This is her magic weapon, which can be used to attack from far and near. It is also the biggest self-protection weapon that White Dolphin has never been able to find a chance to kill her and Black Tiger directly using the void crushing technique. It's not impossible for the White Dolphin to kill them directly, as long as it consumes a lot of energy. But what happens after the kill? He couldn't waste a lot of energy on these Jia Yan subordinates. Because after the confrontation with these Black God subordinates, his fateful enemy Jia Yan will come in person. Puff. Said CAO has arrived. I saw black clouds and howling winds between the whole sky and the earth. The huge winds swept the starry sky, and countless people couldn't open their eyes. Coming. When the strong wind swept through, inside the cracked black space, an imposing young man slowly walked out. The moment he came to this world, he met the eyes of a young man with strange power in his fists. Without him, in this world, even around the Orion arm in the outside world, only between them is the real opponent. The two of them, who are senior domain lords, have fought many times. They are fighting fiercely in the outside world and in this world. It can be said that they understand each other best. When this young man appeared, the whole world was filled with excitement. Regardless of the White God system or the Black God system. Everyone's eyes suddenly wandered on the young man in black and the young man in white. Even more people are excited and feel a little trembling. They are probably going to witness the real battle of the creation gods. You know, in the past, there seemed to be many publicized battles between the two gods of black and white. However, these two unpredictable world gods almost always fought in invisible places, where mortals had no chance to see them. In other words, this battle under the spotlight may be the first time that the black and white gods show their true power in the eyes of mortals. White Dolphin, your backhand is really interesting. After Jia Yan appeared, he stood in front of White Dolphin and Black Tiger Qingling. As a leader and more powerful, this is what he should do. And the purpose of his coming here is to have a royal duel with the White Dolphin. He can't let the White Dolphin find an opportunity to kill one of the Black Tiger and Qingling before he fully shows up. That is something he cannot bear. Pain. Really? Why don't you come and help me taste it? The White Dolphin put one hand behind his back, stretched out the other hand, and hooked his finger at Jia Yan. There was no need for too much nonsense between the two of them. The world itself was built just for them to decide the winner. There is no such thing as nonsense. Just meet and start working directly. The words have not yet finished. Jia Yan, who seemed to be careful about the enemy's backup, chose to attack first. Just like the information he had received previously, Jia Yan did not believe that the so-called backup man White Dolphin could pose a fatal threat to him. Of course, it would be a very powerful toy for other gods' subordinates. White Dolphin was not surprised at all. He unhurriedly opened his fist into a palm and sealed the starry sky and earth in front of him with one palm. I saw that the young man's figure had arrived in front of his palm at some point, raised his leg, and whipped the White Dolphin's head with his whip leg. However, the White Dolphin arrived first, and the palm of its hand was blocking the front of the whip leg. I saw invisible broken ripples appearing in the starry sky. Lord Jia Yan, be careful with this move. It can turn anything it comes into contact into nothingness. Behind her, Qingling could not help but remind her. Any? In the face of absolute power, the word any does not exist. Jia Yan smiled jokingly. After his toes touched the void power in the palm of the White Dolphin, nothing happened. Even if the space turned into nothingness, nothing could be done to his single leg. Snapped. The legs and palms touched, making a deafening sound. The tsunami-like shockwave spread and immediately swept away the surrounding starry sky. Not only the ordinary troops, but also the invincible realm and even all the god-level experts retreated involuntarily, with horrified expressions in their eyes. The two god-level masters flew backwards at the first moment of the collision. It was not until they were 2 or 3 kilometers apart that they looked at each other fiercely again. Sure enough, this trick can't do anything to you. The White Dolphin put his hands behind his back again and said with a leisurely expression. But what no one noticed was that the palm of his hand behind his back was trembling slightly, obviously having suffered a huge impact. Jia Yan smiled. I was told it was so magical that I couldn't help but come and see it in person. I didn't expect you to disappoint me. Is this the so-called backhand? It was easy to say that, but Jia Yan's one leg also felt a little sore, and he couldn't help but feel a little dumb. You must know that he uses his legs. Although at this level of fighting, both legs and feet have great explosive power, but among strong men of the same level, the strength gap between hands and legs is still quite obvious. The White Dolphin was able to block one of his own leg volleys with only one palm, and it looked like he was still able to do so with ease. It can be seen that his backhand shattering void is quite impressive. But to be fair, no matter whether you are strong or not, it all comes down to yourself, so this trick won't work. With only one blow to test, both sides knew that even if the White Dolphin used this move, it would still be helpless against Jia Yan. Maybe Jia Yan also had some backup combat moves that could break the White Dolphin's Void Crush, thus destroying the White Dolphin. Kill. After all, White Dolphin himself and his subordinates both know that the stunts that Jia Yan is famous for are not casual means, but explosive abilities and the so-called yin and yang dao. In one blow, one's combat effectiveness can be directly increased, perhaps even several times. If a life and death battle really begins, he, the white dolphin, cannot gain even half a chance of winning by relying solely on the so-called void shatter. White Dolphin was not surprised at all. He unhurriedly opened his fist into a palm and sealed the starry sky and earth in front of him with one palm. I saw the young man's figure arriving in front of his palm at some point. Looking for Book Garden, he raised his leg and whipped the white dolphin's head with his whip leg. However, the white dolphin arrived first, and the palm of its hand was blocking the front of the whip leg. I saw invisible broken ripples appearing in the starry sky. Lord Jia Yan, be careful with this move. It can turn anything it comes into contact into nothingness. Behind her, Qing Ling could not help but remind her. Any? In the face of absolute power, the word any does not exist. Jia Yan smiled jokingly. After his toes touched the void power in the palm of the white dolphin, nothing happened. Even if the space turned into nothingness, nothing could be done to his single leg. Snapped. The legs and palms touched, making a deafening sound. The tsunami-like shockwave spread and immediately swept away the surrounding starry sky. Not only the ordinary troops, but also the invincible realm and even all the god-level experts retreated involuntarily, with horrified expressions in their eyes. The two god-level masters flew backwards at the first moment of the collision. It was not until they were 2 or 3 kilometers apart that they looked at each other fiercely again. Sure enough, this trick can't do anything to you. The white dolphin put his hands behind his back again and said with a leisurely expression. But what no one noticed was that the palm of his hand behind his back was trembling slightly, obviously having suffered a huge impact. Jia Yan smiled. I was told it was so magical that I couldn't help but come and see it in person. I didn't expect you to disappoint me. Is this the so-called backhand? It was easy to say that, but Jia Yan's one leg also felt a little sore, and he couldn't help but feel a little dumb. You must know that he uses his legs. Although fighting at this level, it doesn't matter whether he uses his legs or his feet. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2897. Throughout history, all the people in the created world believed that the black and white gods were completely opposite existences. Just like the two colors black and white. At two very different extremes. Precisely because they are in the middle of the two extremes, they are on the same level and there is no possibility of compromise. So the world war, the endless battle to the death, emerged. Because they are naturally hostile. These are engraved in the human heart. Like the basics, everyone knows them. However, what I saw and heard today was shocking. Black and white gods. Nonsense. What is shown in front of everyone is that the black god can use white power and the white god can use black power. This is not a black and white god in the traditional sense at all. In an instant, people were stunned and speechless. Traditional concepts are under attack. Who wouldn't be shocked? However, there are smart people who immediately understand something. Since the black god can use white power and the white god can use black power, it means that these two creation gods are truly natural enemies. The white power of the black god is incomplete. White god's black power is imperfect. If both sides devour each other's power, black and white match. Perfect. Isn't this the reason for the battle between the two gods? I see. Is this the reason for the war between the two creation gods? If they hadn't seen the two of them exerting black and white power, everyone would have broken their heads, and they would never have imagined why the two creation gods wanted to fight. Many of them even thought that the mission given to them by the world after birth was to kill each other. But now it seems that those mythical and legendary reasons are simply untenable. It's because both of them have strength needs. If you devour the opponent, you will become stronger. Even if they don't understand how strong the two main gods are, they can still understand the devouring between black and white. This is the real reason for the battle between black and white gods. Boom! The planet trembles. Lightning and thunder roared in the space. Every hit of the black and white colors seems to match the aesthetics of the world. Even if they just hit it casually, strange patterns will appear. Dazzling. This is the rule of the world. The two main gods are too terrifying. The other gods can only stand on the edge of the rules of the world and occasionally exert the power of the world's rules. But the two main gods follow the rules in every gesture, as if they are the rules themselves. That's right. Jia Yan and the white dolphin are really the rules of the world itself. Because that's where their strength ends. Moreover, this created world was originally created for them. What is this if not the rules of the world itself? At this moment, those in the invincible realm, those with high strength, understood every blow of the two main gods. They were dazzled and confused. However, looking back carefully, they could not understand anything. The feeling that made them scratch their heads and head directly caused several invincible realms to vomit blood. They couldn't pay attention to it, but their brains told them that as long as they could absorb this attack thoroughly, they would be able to advance to the next level. No. Don't be too ambitious. This level of power is beyond our ability to understand. Look away quickly. Some people in the invincible realm came back to their senses, with fear in their eyes, and they retreated violently. The others were woken up by the person who reminded them, and the pale ones also stopped comprehending the power of the Lord God. Now they no longer have any idea about the strength of the gods. Many people previously believed that they just lacked strength and understanding, and that the level difference between them and the gods was only a big level. By breaking through that thin layer barrier, they can soar into the sky and ascend to the realm of gods. However, after seeing the level of strength of ordinary gods, they were already shaken. Now looking at the power of rules that are completely different from ordinary people's cultivation methods, they understand even more. This is some kind of shackles. No matter how they practice or how they improve their strength, they will never be able to realize that rule. There is a difference between gods and mortals. After fighting to the death to comprehend that kind of power, the only end they will end up with is to become obsessed and die. Some people are bitter, and some people have a strange look when they look at all the gods after realizing it. My family, its heart must be different. Where do these gods come from? The wisdom of the entire world is not only the wisdom of ordinary people, but also the wisdom of the strong. They understand the essential difference between themselves and the gods. At the same time, they also realize that there is really no difference between the gods and mortals. Same race. So they started thinking about a question. That is, since the gods are not of the same race as them, why do they sacrifice their lives for these gods? Just because of faith? Of course, people who have such thoughts just have such thoughts passing through their minds. In this era, no one dares to reveal their inner feelings in front of the gods. Perhaps after such seeds sprout, similar thoughts will sprout in people's hearts, eventually growing into a giant tree in the sky, and maybe it will become the last straw to subvert the divine system. But, does the black and white god system need long-term peace and stability? Their purpose was not to rule this created world. Therefore, there is no possibility of conflict between the two parties. Even if someone wins, he will still govern the world. The future governance concept may be completely different from the current god system. Jia Yan, do you think my void-shattering method is okay? After another head-on collision with Jia Yan, the white dolphin put its hands behind its back and looked slightly excited. Compared with the mental confrontation with his subordinates, he still prefers this kind of simple and rough direct battle. White dolphin used to like this kind of life, otherwise his strength would not be advancing as fast as a wild horse running wild. It's a pity that his family background has limited his development. If we only focus on talent, I'm afraid his talent will not be much worse than Jia Yan's. Is this the shattering of the void? I think you're just being wildly fanciful. Jia Yan smiled sarcastically. The so-called void shatter, after he fought a few moves with the white dolphin, he immediately understood the opponent's thoughts and striking methods. That was using his black power, even borrowing a little bit of the explosion system, and finally combining it with the white magic power to create a huge formation. This is not called the shattering of the void, at most it can be regarded as miracles produced by great force. If you call this void crush, then I'll let you see if mine is called void crush. Jia Yan's intriguing words made White Dolphin look unnatural. He frowned, but Jia Yan didn't talk nonsense to him. He stretched out his palm, and a strong wind blew up from his palm. The black power and the white power bloomed into strange harmonious patterns between the two palms. Have you actually understood my white power to this level? It is indeed a starry sky beast with excellent talent. The white dolphin's face was expressionless, and he condensed the two powers of one white and one black on his fist. Once an opponent like them starts a war, it will be difficult to determine the outcome without using hundreds or thousands of moves. Not only here, but also in the outside world. After all, they are all senior domain masters. Unless the difference in strength reaches a crushing level, otherwise even if you use your trump card, it will be difficult to kill someone of the same level in one go. The world was shaking like a complete mess. It seemed as if the sky was about to shatter. In fact, this is the true principle of void shattering. It's not that there are any weird means, but the simple attack strength has reached the upper limit of the world, or even exceeded the upper limit of the world, causing the entire created world to be completely broken in some parts, and a power void appeared, which became the rest of the population. The trembling power of the void. If White Dolphin can do it, Jia Yan can naturally do it too. That's why he said that's it. Ridiculing the White Dolphin is pretending to be a ghost. Bring it on. The White Dolphin gathered up its energy and raised its fingers at Jia Yan, who also raised most of his strength. Then it's better to be respectful than to obey. Jia Yan smiled faintly. There is nothing earth-shattering or shocking. Jia Yan simply walked towards the White Dolphin. However, the White Dolphin was extremely dignified when faced with such an attack, and did not dare to show any contempt at all. If Jia Yan was that simple, he would have already defeated this formidable enemy. Precisely because Jia Yan cannot be simple, he is as meticulous as a formidable enemy, and even notices the slightest disturbance. White Dolphin. As Jia Yan walked, the energy in his hands gathered. He was still talking. You have a big character flaw, are you aware of it yourself? The White Dolphin took a breath. Is there such a way to hit someone in the face? Whether I have any shortcomings, I don't bother you to point them out. He did not directly confront his opponent. Jia Yan smiled again. Actually, if you just want to be a strong person, with your talent, you might not be able to break into a new world. It's a pity that you can't get out by holding on to your so-called ancestral legacy. This is your first character flaw. When his biggest shortcoming was revealed by Jia Yan, White Dolphin's expression became a bit unbearable, as if he wanted to attack first and stop Jia Yan's words. However, before he could take the initiative to attack, Jia Yan continued to speak. After all, the White Dolphin was on the defensive just now, and it would take some time to switch to an offensive situation. Secondly, your second biggest flaw is that your character is too twisted. Do you think that everything is your own fault? The entire strength of the White Dolphin is somewhat shaken. What do you mean? He asked coldly. In fact, this is what White Dolphin thinks. All the grievances he experienced were brought to him by others. Although he himself was a little disadvantaged in doing things, as a senior domain master, he knew that his ability was not weak. He is very polite to others, but he is always targeted. Isn't this unfair? Shouldn't you feel aggrieved? In fact, what he wanted to know most was also the answer to this matter. Otherwise, even if he wins this time and will be targeted by his subordinates in the future, won't he still live with no self-esteem? Even if Jia Yan is allowed to strike, he still wants to hear the truth from the enemy in front of him. Haha, actually, you are right. From my point of view, you are a polite and virtuous corporal. It's a pity. What's a pity? The white dolphin asked while watching Jia Yan's two palms. It's a pity, just 4 words, virtue is not worthy of it. Virtue is not worthy. No matter how talented white dolphin is, he still couldn't figure out the meaning of this for a while. You said that my virtue is not worthy of my position. Are you saying that a senior domain lord is not worthy of becoming the leader of my Bai family's power? I, the Bai family, have only been in the history of 5 or 6 senior domain lords. Are you saying that I am not worthy? The white dolphin's eyes darkened and he asked coldly. No, it seems you don't understand yet. Jia Yan sighed and couldn't help but shook his head. Although what he meant by these words was to dampen the white dolphin's will to fight, after reading this guy's response, he wanted to curse his mother. It turns out that I really have no strength, and there must be something wrong with my brain to not be able to understand the meaning of my words. Actually, I can understand it roughly. However, how have you ever experienced my life and everything I have experienced? So I don't agree with your definition. Okay, if you want to use words to shake me, this trick doesn't matter. Yes, haven't you gathered your energy? Let me see it. The white dolphin narrowed its indifferent eyes and said indifferently. It's not that he doesn't understand. But to deal with people, you need to have your own persistence. If he accepts everything Jia Yan said, it will deny his own way of being strong. Maybe he will be able to fight as Jia Yan wishes. It has dropped significantly in a short period of time. This battle was originally just a trial and would turn into a battle of life and death. Why? Jia Yan shook his head. Naturally, he is not a good person, and he wants to solve the confusion in life for White Dolphin. The purpose of everything is to shake the White Dolphin's heart and make this guy lose at his hands. Although the two sides in this battle are just appetizers before the real life and death battle, if there is a chance, he does not mind finishing it once and for all and taking the opportunity to kill the White Dolphin. That's all, since you don't appreciate it. Let me continue to be stubborn and stubborn. Let's see what happens. Jia Yan strode forward without hesitation, his speed suddenly reaching the extreme. Although what he meant by these words was to dampen the White Dolphin's will to fight, after reading this guy's response, he wanted to curse his mother. It turns out that I really have no strength, and there must be something wrong with my brain to not be able to understand the meaning of my words. Actually, I can understand it roughly. However, how have you ever experienced my life and everything I have experienced? So I don't agree with your definition. Okay, if you want to use words to shake me, this trick doesn't matter. Yes, haven't you gathered your energy? Let me see it. The White Dolphin narrowed its indifferent eyes and said indifferently. It's not that he doesn't understand. But to deal with people, you need to have your own persistence. If he accepts everything Jia Yan said, he will deny his own way to be strong. Maybe as Jia Yan wishes, his combat effectiveness will drop significantly in a short period of time. This battle was originally just a trial, and it would turn into a battle of life and death. Why? Jia Yan shook his head. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2898. The sky, is it cracked? My mother, are these two creation gods going to destroy the world again? That's impossible to say. These two were the ones who created the world in the first place. Isn't it normal to destroy the world? Around the entire battlefield, all the black and white second-line troops had stopped fighting. The battle between these two masters forced all troops to retreat. A large number of soldiers fled in panic and returned to the base camp of their own troops. In front of two overwhelming gods, no matter how brave they were, they could not feel safe at all. Only now do they clearly know that from a spiritual level, they are nothing more than flowers and plants on the roadside, and they can be suppressed at will. So what's the point of their war? Some strong men in the invincible realm looked at the fight between the two men in a daze, with 10,000 things they wanted to say in their hearts. They could see the gap. These two creation gods alone could kill all the invincible territory plus all the black and white troops with their bare hands. But they didn't do it. Instead, they allowed the troops to fight fiercely, each of them firmly believing that they could help the main gods behind them. However, reality slapped them in the face. Are the Lord gods in the game world? A game that takes countless lives? All invincible, I couldn't help but smile bitterly. I don't even dare to get angry, because the strength of these two people is beyond imagination. Do you dare to scold them? That's just asking for trouble. However, they did not know that these two creation gods still recognized their contribution to the troops. Because without the efforts of the troops, they would not have the time to become stronger. Trading space for time, no matter how the size of the territory below changes between the two, in short, the longer the delay, the stronger they will be, and the higher the possibility of reaching the top. Today, they have almost reached the final step. War is about to break out. But now is not the time. Rumble, rumble. The whole world was shaking, and the starry sky was like a curtain, trembling crazily and overwhelmed. Everyone is like a small boat in strong winds and waves, drifting around and unstable. Jia Yan and the white dolphin had a final full-out collision. One black energy and one white energy in his hand burst out with amazing positive and negative power. However, this power cannot have the expected effect at all under the terrifying strength of the white dolphin in its ultimate state. Although the white dolphin's void-shattering power was ridiculed by Jia Yan, it did not lose at all when fighting against Jia Yan's backhand. Feeling their own reaction force, the two flew backwards for about 10 kilometers and looked at each other in the air. I was speechless for a long time. Finally, Jia Yan looked at the white dolphin solemnly and said, "You have made progress again." "The same to you." Jia Yan sighed, "Actually, your talent is really good. You can probably be ranked in the top 10 among the people I saw." "It's a pity." He shook his head sadly. The white dolphin was a little angry. "Really, it's just the top 10, you can actually rank in the top 3 among the people I've met, but it's a pity that you are stubborn." "What's so stubborn about it?" Jia Yan was not at all unhappy about the top 3, he said. Because he does know that there are many geniuses in the North Star who may be more talented than himself. In fact, the fact that the white dolphins received his top 10 compliment was a sign that Jia Yan thought highly of him. Unfortunately, the other party did not get this praise from Jia Yan at all. After all, he has never been to the central star field of the Milky Way, and has never experienced the horror of genius there like a crucian carp crossing the river. So from Jia Yan's point of view, saying that White Dolphin is among the top 10 people he has seen is already a great compliment to him. "You are stubborn and don't know how cooperation can win-win. If you honestly share your power with me, maybe I will spare your life and make you stronger." The white dolphin stared at Jia Yan word by word and could hear the gnashing of teeth in his words from such a distance. This man is crazy. Jia Yan shook his head and refused to communicate with such people. He said calmly, "Okay, let's not talk about it. Today is not the chance for us to have a decisive battle. Since you and I can't communicate, let's wait until next time." With that said, he retreated into the void created by the battle behind him, and seemed to be blending into it. "Next time I will kill you directly. It won't take long, just a few days." Jia Yan paused thoughtfully, his eyes full of fighting spirit. "It's exactly what I want." After saying that, he entered the black void and returned to the underworld space by some unknown means. Withdraw troops. Behind him, as the white dolphin glanced over with a cold gaze, Heihu, the supreme commander of the black god-type troops present, gave a calm and retreating cry. The orders were passed down layer by layer, and the black god department's nearly dispersed troops began to withdraw in an orderly manner. As for the white gods, under the instructions of the gods, they did not start a pursuit or anything like that. They also need to recuperate. And now is really not the time for a decisive battle. Both sides acquiesced in this. Generally speaking, except for the two black and white main gods, there was no winner or loser in today's battle. There was a winner and loser between the black god system and the white god system. The black god department probably lost a little bit, because a god-level master was killed by White Dolphin himself. However, as for the white god system, because the kingdom of God was defeated by the black god system again, the defense layer of the kingdom of God was no longer complete and was almost useless. This was another failure of theirs. Of course, it would be a matter of opinion as to who is more cost-effective in exchange for a god-level combat power for the defense of the kingdom of White God. Anyway, after the fight, both sides were a little uninterested. This battle can be considered a bad start. For non-war crimes, who would have expected that White Dolphin would personally attack us before the final battle? Presumably after this battle, Master Jia Yan will personally sit in the underworld. If there is any trouble, he will come out again. Several gods of the Black God system were discussing in the shady base camp of the Black God system. To be honest, when Jia Yan fought against the White Dolphin just now, they were all a little confused. Strong men from the outside world have entered and have reached the peak of energy in this world. However, both Black Tiger and the self-proclaimed genius Jingling are daunted by the fight between those two big shots. The gap is too big. If we say that after they entered this world, they exerted their peak strength at the venerable level to about twice as much, then Jia Yan and White Dolphin will almost break through to 5 times. Although they will not slap a child, there is almost no one who can be their enemy together. It can only be said that the senior domain master is indeed too powerful for them. Black Tiger and Qingling, who are outside domain masters, understand this gap best. That's right. Today's non-war crime was committed by White Dolphin himself. We only had to sacrifice one person, which is already within the acceptable range of losses. Black Tiger sighed. 100 years later, if he doesn't die, I will definitely seek revenge on him. But Qingling was beside her and said this out of nowhere. Everyone who listened was stunned for a moment, and then looked at her. Even Black Tiger had some toothache. This little girl, does she know what she is talking about? 100 years is not too long, but too short. You self-proclaimed genius territory lord, well, you are indeed a recognized territory lord. Even so, such a being, dare to say that you will find trouble with a senior territory lord 100 years later? Haven't you seen the terrifying gap between the territory lord and the senior territory lord through Lord Jia Yan's power? Moreover, no matter how many mistakes there are in White Dolphin's mind, it is undeniable that he is a senior domain master who is almost as powerful as Master Jia Yan. You know, according to Master Jia Yan, he has already killed senior domain lords. Hundreds of years, you think too much. However, Qingling didn't care. After finishing speaking, she sat beside her with her arms folded, not knowing what she was doing because she was sulking. Ahem, in short, how should we act next? Should we continue to be aggressive, or should we be a little more moderate? I'll wait for you to come up with a charter. Black Tiger changed the topic. 100 years later is too long, they still need to solve the immediate problem first. What did Master Jia Yan say? Someone asked. Your Excellency did not give any advice. It seems that this battle has inspired him a lot. He is comprehending the world. Perhaps after comprehending this, the real decisive battle will begin. In this case, we don't need to stimulate the white god system. Anyway, attacking the white god kingdom will only anger the white dolphin again. It may not cause his strength to decrease, so it is better to maintain the status quo. I agree with that. Seconded. The meeting ended quickly. The gods filed out one by one. In fact, there are hierarchies within the black god system. Especially the territory lord level existence, the three territory lords are the second echelon after Jiayan, and are called seniors by others. That's why Qingling just said such a bold statement that made people want to complain, but she didn't get ridiculed or anything. After all, they didn't want to cause trouble. The territory lord wants to cause trouble for the senior territory lord, and they, a group of mid-level galactic beings, will not join in the fun. Qingling, did you just say it out of anger, or did you really want to do that? Black Tiger caught up with Qingling and asked cautiously. Qingling glanced at him, returned to her iceberg beauty state, and said coldly, "You think I can't do it?" Black Tiger nodded honestly, "Yes, I am not too young in the outside world, and I actually have been to the central star field of the Milky Way. Although I only hung out in the outside world for a while, I became dejected. I have returned to my hometown, but I have seen far more of the world than you." "What do you want to say?" Qingling asked impatiently. "Little girl, please listen to me and take back your unrealistic ideas. I am not mocking your ambition. However, this kind of thing needs to be based on reality. The territory lords I have seen in my life, as well as the territory lords I have seen in the galaxy Central Star Territory, there are hundreds of ordinary territory lords in total. However, how many of them do you think have truly reached the level of senior territory lords?" "How much?" Qingling's curiosity was aroused and she resisted the mood of leaving. "Excluding Master Jiayan, there is no one. Not a single one." Even Qingling, who felt good about herself, couldn't help but change her face. Because she has been around Jiayan, a senior domain lord, recently, and her enemy is also a senior domain lord, Qingling can't help but look down on the senior domain lord a little bit. But if you look at the history of this starry sky in the past, she would probably be even more shocked. Except for the area as far away as the Bai family, the area around this large Orion arm is about 1,000 light-years away. Anyway, if you leave that side aside, within 1,000 light-years, it seems that there are millions of years of recorded history. There has never been any senior domain lord. Yes, it really hasn't happened before. Territory lords are constantly coming. At least in any period, there will be existences like Qingling, young tiger territory lord, and several other territory lords from different eras. However, among so many territory lords in history, there has never been any senior territory lord. Even among the past starry sky behemoths who were said to be invincible in talent, except for many generations of domain lords, they either ran out of talent or were surrounded and killed by surrounding domain lords at the domain lord level. In short, none of them had ever set foot there. A field. Except Jiayan. It can be said that Jiayan, the giant beast in the starry sky, is truly the only one who has stepped into the ranks of senior domain lords in the surrounding star field of thousands of light-years for countless years. And now, Qingling also said that she wanted to hit that level, and made bold words, saying 100 years from now. The others didn't laugh just now, which was a huge honor. Of course I understand. Qingling actually also knew this knowledge, but she was stimulated by the powerlessness of war before, and looking down on the senior domain master, so she said those words by accident. It was difficult to recover from the overflowing water, and her temper did not allow her to take back those words. "Well, I hope you get what you want." Young Master Hu shook his head. Qingling looked at Mr. Hu, who left in disappointment. "I am afraid that this old man may misunderstand that he has gone crazy." Damn it, she pursed her red lips. Obviously that guy has reached today's realm in about 100 years. Why don't they believe me when I say that I will cultivate to the senior domain lord level in another 100 years? Is the gap between me and him really that big? It was obvious that the guy Qingling was talking about was Jia Yan. If Jia Yan heard her words, she might cry out that she was wronged. In fact, Jia Yan really wants to say that his talent is not as strong as he thought. Especially in Biostar, there may be many people who are more talented than him and they will be stuck at the domain lord level all their lives. As for why he was promoted so quickly, Jia Yan also wanted to know. It might be a coincidence, or some indescribable factors. Of course, it could also be some kind of author's magic. Phew, did I say anything? No, absolutely no secrets were leaked. That's right, a voice came from the retreating black tiger's back. I advise you to change your target, because as far as I can see, this white dolphin will not live for 100 years. After all, he was the person Lord Jia Yan is targeting. It seems very reasonable. Qingling was stunned. She wanted to say that it would be logical for her to change her target to Jia Yan, who could defeat the white dolphin. However, when she thought that Jia Yan was younger than herself and had a cultivation speed that exceeded her own strength, as well as talents such as Yin Yang Dao and subspace talent to create great cultivation techniques, her determination was swallowed up again. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2899. To find such a guy as a target, she is more like a fool. They all look down on me. It seems that after this battle, I have to go to the central star field of the Milky Way to see how prosperous the place where geniuses gather, which they have been told by word of mouth, is. Qingling also flew to the military residence herself. In fact, there is something in her heart that she doesn't want to admit. That is, no matter what, she has admitted that she is far inferior to Jia Yan. That guy is a monster. Yes, if Qingling knew what this monster was doing now, she would be jealous and jealous until she vomited blood. The juncture between the underworld and the world of creation. Jia Yan deliberately kept himself at the contact point between the two places. It's hard to be disturbed here. Waves of surging energy lingered around his body, exuding an astonishing aura. This is what Jia Yan just learned from the white dolphin through a short encounter. Happy. He sighed slightly in his heart. Fighting with the white dolphin is the way to improve him to the highest level. Of course, Bai Hai also needs to reach the top of the top, and the fight cannot continue. If the fight is like the one just now, it is probably a matter of life and death. Before, the biggest harvest was achieved. Jia Yan was still thinking a little. As expected, you cannot underestimate the heroes in the world. White Dolphin seems to be a relatively useless person, but he is a senior domain master after all. If he really despises others, he will not die. At least the battle just now showed that the White Dolphin is not an easy person to deal with. With this fight, I've suffered another minor defeat. Jia Yan thought. From the perspective of himself and other god-level subordinates, maybe this is not the case. However, from a mortal perspective, he personally took action but failed to avenge the god of death, which is equivalent to losing. No matter from any angle. So morale is destined to suffer a temporary decline. Just like the original battle in the underworld. But that was only short-lived. Overall, the overall strength of the black god system is still higher than that of the white god system, including gods. Even if one of them dies and loses such a large amount of combat power, in terms of overall strength, the black god system with joint fighting skills will definitely still be strong. On the side of the Bayesian system. This is also the reason why Jia Yan was able to survive in the first place. The joint fighting method is a technique that Jia Yan has been teaching his subordinates from the outside world. This technique is derived from the Yin and Yang Dao joint fighting method. Speaking of it, it can be regarded as the top fighting technique around this starry sky. As for the white dolphin, it has almost no fighting skills to match it. Saying almost actually means that the other party has it. Unfortunately, the white dolphin itself does not have enough prestige, and the young Zhuang sect is not willing to learn much, because they may not be able to use it after leaving this world. Furthermore, those skills are absolutely impossible for Jia Yan to study the pros and cons. The joining skills are easy to learn. Comparing the two, it is normal for Jia Yan to have favorable combat effectiveness. The white dolphin has revealed its first backup plan, and with the existence of the primary star that did not show up in this battle, are there any other means? Jia Yan pondered. In this small test, both sides roughly saw each other's strength. It's hard to do anything to the other person, in addition to using their own trump cards. In the dark place, Jia Yan has been thinking deeply. This retreat lasted for many days. As for the White God Department, it has also entered a relatively peaceful period. The White God Sect's army was able to recuperate, and some troops even took advantage of the Black God Sect's massive retreat to occupy some of their homelands, which greatly boosted the morale of everyone in the White God Sect. Reaching the main god level battle, everyone discovered that as long as the main god had enough strength to win, the war would still turn around. As a result, everyone has a lot of expectations for the upcoming war. Just like when the war was raging, they had been expecting the White God type troops to turn things around. When the ordinary troops were defeated, they looked forward to the invincible state. After that, the invincible state was no longer possible, so they looked to the ordinary gods. When the ordinary gods seemed unable to resist it, the Black God system is looking forward to the main god of the god system again. I have looked forward to it so many times, but every time it is in vain. However, everything cannot happen again and again. Therefore, in the midst of great expectations, countless people have high expectations for the possibility of the White Dolphin's victory. After all, if even the main god is defeated, the entire created world will fall into the hands of the Black God system. The Black God system governs the area, and it is said that it does not investigate the past issues of ordinary people's beliefs. However, there will always be some people who are hostile to the White God system, and there are policies and countermeasures from above. Countless people in the Black God sect have sworn hatred against the White God section. Who can guarantee that they will take good care of the ordinary people of the White God sect? In fact, in areas governed by the Black God system, the lives of the people of the White God system are generally worse than before. This is a fact. Therefore, people within the White God Kingdom who have learned about the lives of the people in the areas governed by the Black God system are becoming more and more hostile to the Black God system. Especially after the White God system apparently won this battle, people who blindly believed that the White God system still had a chance began to change. Their fighting momentum also increased. The few planets that were captured by the White God's counterattack took the opportunity to support them. Now presumably, the material problems in the rear of the White God Kingdom have been solved to the greatest extent. There's nothing we can do. What's wrong? Everyone, just such a small issue, is it like mourning a concubine? This cannot be said to be a defeat. On the front line of the Black God Department, several Invincible Realm generals were discussing matters. Someone sighed. In the last war, 2 people died in their invincible state. It's just that these invincibles are not as afraid of the concept of death as before. Because just after the 2 invincibles died generously, the army held a grand mourning ceremony the next day. During the mourning ceremony, the 2 invincible souls were personally brought out from the underworld by the Holy Maiden of Death. Then everyone was dumbfounded and pointed at their funeral with weird looks, and then they were dumbfounded. Then, he was brought back to the underworld by the Holy Lady. In other words, it is true that even ordinary soldiers who die in the invincible realm will be resurrected in the underworld. In this way, the funeral loses the initial sense of sadness. Everyone's fear of death has also become much less severe. A large number of soldiers did not care about life and death. Although they also knew that the chances of ordinary soldiers being resurrected in the mansion were limited, many people did not think that they would be the unlucky ones. The soldiers were not afraid of death. This also resulted in the Black God system having a more terrifying combat effectiveness than the White God system. The fact that the White God system suffered such a tragic defeat actually played a huge factor in this. There was a counterattack by the White Gods for a period of time, and it was precisely because the underworld was attacked by the White Gods, which caused the underworld to lose its functions for a period of time. The soldiers were filled with uncertainty, and their combat effectiveness was eventually reduced. Now that the underworld has a resurrection mechanism again, especially the resurrection of the two invincibles, the morale of the soldiers has returned to normal. This is probably the reason why the Lord God ordered the saint to send two invincible souls to the present world. This gives the soldiers no worries. So what if you die? We can still live. Hey, let me ask you if the Bai Shen family is angry. In the battle a few days ago, morale had plummeted, but with the scene of the resurrection of the invincible realm, the entire army was not devastated. Haha, don't worry so much anymore. I can see that in the end of this war, no matter how we fight back and forth or how we risk our lives, the final result still depends on the two Lord Gods. The result of the battle. Suddenly, an injured invincible realm spoke in the middle of the invincible realm. Everyone suddenly fell silent. They didn't know what to say. Finally, someone sighed. Originally, if they didn't talk about it, they could still build themselves up psychologically. However, after someone pointed out this opinion, everyone's defenses were broken. After all, they were so disregarding the danger of life and death, no matter how hard they fought, even if they hit the interior of Bashan Kingdom and hit the side of Bashan's throne, all of this would be in vain if Bashan personally took action and defeated Lord Black God. I would like to ask anyone, after knowing such a fact, will they not be discouraged? As for Bashan Kingdom, it is actually very impressive recently, and it is precisely because of this. They finally figured it out. Even if they were defeated and completely defeated, as long as Lord White God works hard and kills Black God, the final result of the war will still be a complete victory for the White God system. History is written by the victors. As long as they win, no matter how many bad battles they fought before or how embarrassingly they lost, they finally win. How they like to write about the battle is all their own fault. No one knew that the Black God series had ever been so brilliant. Everyone was silent for a while. And this silence lasted until the end of the meeting of the Invincible Realms. Let's adjourn the meeting and go back and think about it. In fact, no matter what we think, this battle of gods will finally continue. The two main gods may eventually decide the winner. We just have to do our best. That's enough, let the two gods decide everything. Yes, let's leave it to them to decide in the final divine battle. I'm going back too, I have to think about it. Several Invincible Realm members left the scene with helpless smiles. On the other hand, there was one Invincible Realm who looked calm when he left the scene, as if he had no idea about the situation of the Invincible Realms. After all, he didn't really create the world of invincibility. It's just a clone of Jia Yan. What do you think? Whatever I think, I don't think about it at all. Jia Yan, the clone of the Invincible Realm, suddenly asked another Invincible Realm next to him. The Invincible Realm could see it clearly and shook his head directly. It's not that I don't want to make progress, but this kind of thing shouldn't be something I and the Invincible Realm should think about. Even beings like gods will die on the battlefield. Why do we need to think so much? Even if the things we consider are passive and lazy, do we really dare to be passive and lazy? No one dares at all, so I say that it is unfounded for us to think so much. How to go to the battlefield tomorrow, or how to go to the battlefield? Jia Yan smiled, you still see clearly. The Invincible Realm waved his hand unceremoniously, to be honest, I don't see it thoroughly. In fact, everyone can see this, and they probably think about the same thing as me. It's just that they want to see other people's reactions. Oh? So, do you have some kind of tacit understanding between you, brother? I actually joined your team not long ago. Since they know that they will have to go to the battlefield in the end, what do they want? As soon as Jia Yan finished speaking, the invincible realm who was chatting with him stopped and looked at Jia Yan with strange eyes. Jia Yan looked at him so kindly, with magnanimity in his eyes. The man quickly gave up looking at Jia Yan and laughed cheerfully. Hey, brother, your behavior makes me wonder which god you are. But it doesn't matter if I tell you. Anyway, we will wait. It's no secret what people want. Appreciate further details. Jia Yan didn't care whether the other party revealed his identity or not, he just continued to ask calmly. The Invincible Realm said casually, actually, we, the Invincible Realm, don't take life and death that seriously. Even if there is no resurrection from the underworld, I'm afraid we won't be afraid of anything. War, however. Jia Yan calmed down and asked, but... The Invincible Realm looked deeply into the depths of the starry sky, and then as the two main gods clashed a few days ago, the world collapsed and turned into a land of nothingness. He said calmly, however, what we are most afraid of is that in the future there is no way to make progress, so what we want most is the possibility of going further, even if it is just a little hope. I see. Jia Yan suddenly realized. It's right when you think about it. The Invincibles are called by ordinary people as the beings closest to gods. It's just that after they came into contact with the gods and saw the previous battle between Jia Yan and the White Dolphin, as long as they had an understanding of energy application and techniques, it was impossible not to discover that there was a life-level relationship between them and the gods. Different. That is not a barrier that can be broken through practice and hard work. So they are confused. They work so hard for the gods, but what do they get in the end? There is no way forward and no possibility of eternal life. Even if you enter the underworld, what will you get? Suddenly, those in the Invincible Realm also had the idea of fighting for some unknown reason. Is this easy to handle? I'll think of a solution for you. Just when the Invincible Realm thought that he had said too much to a stranger in the Invincible Realm, or even a guy who was suspected to be a clone of a god, unexpectedly, the other party smiled mysteriously and suddenly spoke. Think of a way. The whole person in the Invincible Realm was stunned. He really wanted to say, how can you find a solution for us? But when he thought about the fact that he had just suspected that this person was a clone of a god, he immediately closed his mouth and felt extremely ecstatic in his heart. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2900. Could it be possible? We in the Invincible Realm have been thinking hard about this huge problem, and it's just because of my words that things have turned around. If that were the case, he would have truly achieved immeasurable merit. It has opened up a broad road for those who are latecomers to the Invincible Realm. I am really a saint. This invincible man's heart almost jumped out of his chest. This, brother, do you take what you say seriously? What I mean is, what is your identity? Jia Yan smiled mysteriously and said, no comment. If you want to believe it, just believe it. If you don't want to believe it, then just leave it. I believe it, of course I believe it. Oh, brother, when I saw you just now, I knew that you are extraordinary and have a natural aura of Taoism. Obviously, you are not a character that ordinary invincible can imagine, but I didn't expect you are still blind, you must be a person with great supernatural powers. When the rainbow fart came, Jia Yan didn't feel ecstatic, he just smiled and nodded. The two said goodbye, and Jia Yan quickly disappeared. Not long after, this clone came to the place where the Black God clone was training, looked at the Black God boy with his eyes closed, silently integrated himself into the body of the Black God clone. After the two agreed and became one, the black god Jia Yan opened his eyes. There was a little playfulness in his eyes. Those ordinary strong men who created the world are so eager to embark on the broad road of cultivating the gods. Maybe they weren't that eager at first because they didn't know how powerful the gods were. And with the frequent attacks of the black and white gods, they saw the gap between the two sides clearly, and after giving them many bold ideas, they really took their ideas to the god level. Want to be promoted? No matter, they are just pawns played by me and the white dolphin energy. At most, part of the energy comes from the massive resources invested by the white dolphin. If you want to be promoted in the galaxy, it will take a lot of effort. It's not as simple as you might imagine. Jia Yan had already mentioned it. He will not restrict the people of this world from venturing outside. Because he doesn't want to control the world, so what direction they want to develop is their own business. But the problem is that the vast world these strong men long for may not be as beautiful as they imagined. Not to mention their true understanding of cultivation, which is still based on the simple rules of creating the world. It is only unknown whether they can endure the cleansing of the cosmic energy when they go to the outside world. So they think back and realize that the problems they will encounter in the future will be more than they imagined. In short, if they want to open Pandora's box, they can open it. It doesn't have much to do with them. If Edessa wants to take care of it in the future, then they can take care of it. At most, Jia Yan will take care of it and won't put too much thought into it. Bashan Kingdom was trapped in a urn, but this giant turtle had a powerful attack. After hitting it, it actually scored twice and fought out of Bashan Kingdom. The Black God Department also gradually understood that they should not be too hasty in dealing with the White God Kingdom, so they Ming Jin withdrew their troops or shrunk their defense circle. As a result, a large area of the planet's soil was recovered by the White God system. The tug of war continues, with the White God family seeing hope, and their wish is to receive more of their homeland. There was no choice but to take the initiative to attack the war and turn it into a capital defense war. This situation was very similar to that of the Asan Kingdom on Earth back then, and it would be extremely embarrassing to tell anyone about it. Now that they have the opportunity, they will naturally try to find ways to get their face back. Besides, they really have no resources. If they don't grab more planets, they will probably starve. The White God sect, have been ruling this area for countless years. Naturally, there will be a large number of people secretly supporting us. It is wishful thinking for the Black God sect to want to end things once and for all. Yes, we and other people naturally support the White Gods. On a certain planet, some people clasped their fists and showed great respect to the commander of the White God-type troops who had regained their homeland. However, among the people present, not many people greeted the White God Department with smiles. You are welcome along the way, but this is the requirement from above. The White Gods are not good birds. Recently, they have probably learned a lot under the short rule of the Black Gods. Although the Black God system is not a good thing, they are evenly matched, so after thinking about it, the only thing they want is peace and a good life. I hope they will stop fighting. People's livelihood has been exhausted. No matter how noble a god is, faith cannot be eaten as food. Thanks to the imperfect laws of world creation, as long as the vegetation is planted, there will generally not be too many complications under God's goodwill, let alone the messy external forces destroying the vegetable garden in the real world, so agriculture is extremely developed. Otherwise, if the Black and White 2 series keep fighting like this, they will have long ago brought down the people's livelihood of the entire world. But even if the food lasts, the people are tired. They did not want to see the White God Department and the Black God Department at war again. Well, I don't want to waste people and money. Since we have recovered the star, there is absolutely no reason to lose it again. You can just handle the affairs we ordered. Yes, yes. The White God General led his troops to the camp to set up camp. Generally speaking, the troops of the black and white gods are quite polite to the people. They claim to be the troops of the gods and have the obligation to protect the entire world. Therefore, whether they are invading the opponent's planet or recovering their homeland, they will treat the people well. I have to say this, and I still have to praise it. General, among those people, there are definitely spies from the Black God system and even hidden troops inside. Why don't we conduct a planet-wide search? If we don't do this, we might be attacked soon. Even if there is no attack, it will be difficult to sleep and eat well. The military advisor came to the side of the powerful man from the White God Department and gave some sincere advice. And that general was actually an invincible strong man. He smiled bitterly. Do you think this general doesn't know what you are talking about? But have you ever noticed the expressions of the people who just accepted our army? They must not have much regard for our return. Some people are concerned, and some even want us to leave quickly. If we now work for the people of the entire planet and implement some plan to eliminate the enemy, do you think these people will complain? The military advisor was silent for a moment, and finally let out a long sigh. I hope the people from the Black God Department will not take any action. As long as we survive the first few days, the stabilized situation will be on our side. If we launch an investigation plan later, the excitement among the people will surely be relieved a little. Reduce it? Yes, everything will wait for time to pass, but the security of the military camp is essential, so that the generals and soldiers can stay up all night and be ready to fight at any time and anywhere. Yes. The strategists and staff retreated, and the invincible general emitted a light of exploration magic in his hand, and then fell asleep with vigilance. Do you think we can succeed? Just outside the camp, a group of people wearing black military uniforms broke into pieces and lay in wait for a long time. A young man wearing a black military uniform blended into the night and chatted with the girl in military uniform next to him. Xiao Wu, can you stop talking? I didn't see you so cowardly when you were on our planet. The girl next to him was a little upset and gave the young man a hard look. The young man suddenly did not dare to speak anymore. The girl in front of him was almost a natural enemy to him. Every time he made a mistake or did something, she would always appear on time and scold him. Obviously his talent and strength are similar to hers, but he didn't expect that he was actually a little afraid of her. What? It's just that your official position is a little higher than mine. You say it again. Okay, I won't tell. Xiao Wu closed his mouth. This was already half a year after he and his young brother Wang joined the army. In the past 6 months, they who came from that martial arts star were like Lu Lao Lao entering the Grand View Garden, which really opened their eyes. Following the troops of the Black God Department, they fought at the border of the White God Department, entered the underworld of the afterlife and fought a small defeat, and then marched straight into the hinterland of the White God Department and fought a tough battle against the Kingdom of White God. Today, they are on a planet in the hinterland of the White God system. After experiencing a failure, they were ordered by Shang Feng to bury themselves around the planet and wait for orders. The order received tonight is to conduct a surprise attack on the enemy's camp while they have not yet established a firm foothold. This kind of order is usually given by death squads. However, these two young girls not only accepted the order, but also decided to do the best possible job and minimize casualties. If you and I join forces, we can only fight against a high-level star. If we fight against a beginner in the sky, we will die in 1 or 2 blows. If we don't have any good strategies, I'm afraid you and I will have to answer here today. Xiao Wu is a talkative person and has learned nothing else from the beggar master, but he has learned a lot from the beggar master. He is even better at talking than the beggar master. The young lady's brother looked at him coldly and said nothing. Xiao Wu shrank his neck, and then stretched his neck a little unconvinced. Am I wrong? Our military strength and master-level strength are far inferior to theirs. Why should we take this mission? Ah, I really don't understand. Brother Wang sighed earnestly and said, "Our mission is called a harassment mission. Do you understand what harassment means? We are not allowed to fight with their invincible realm or venerable level. Why are you so anxious? You can't escape even if you can't defeat us." Xiao Wu was speechless when he heard this. If we want to harass, the enemy will let us harass us? Do you know that they have an invincible realm and several venerable level troops? If they really want to make a big fuss, not to mention anything else, the appearance of one or two at the venerable level is enough for us to drink a pot. According to what you said, there is no need to fight. Just compare whichever is stronger on both sides. The girl seemed to be irritated, snorted heavily, and did not talk to Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu muttered a few more words, but seeing that he couldn't attract the girl's attention, he could only say softly, "Oh, you can fight if you want. Anyway, I promised my master that I will protect your safety no matter what." "Who said you are a girl? If there is danger later, leave me behind, I will take the back seat, and you can run away." "You." The girl's heart skipped a beat and she looked back at him deeply. This fool. Until now, he still doesn't know that the girl in front of him is the brother Wang who went on the adventure with him. He is so stupid and wants to take the back seat for a woman. No wonder he got beaten several times on his behalf when he was living on the street. Don't do this anymore. It's not good to be a licking dog. If I want to harm you, you won't know how to die. Facing the girl's statement, Xiao Wu was startled, then immediately laughed. "Then let me ask you, will you harm me?" "Of course not." "That's fine then." The girl suddenly didn't know what to say. "Kill." Just as the two of them were singing and noisy, they managed to reach the agreed time, and then the shouts of killing started loudly. They are not just random little devils, but two powerful Black God-type non-commissioned officers. The purpose of training their troops was to train their confidants, and now the troops they lead are exactly the thousands of troops they brought out themselves. Each of these young people fought their way out of the trenches regardless of their own safety. Kill. The two young men, wearing bright clothes and angry horses, took the lead and rushed outside the White God Department camp. Everyone kill as much as possible, but don't be reluctant to fight. Kill for 3 minutes, 3 minutes at most. If this time exceeds, immediately retreat into the forest and, otherwise you will be chased and intercepted by the enemy's masters. The two teenagers each ordered their subordinate soldiers. Everyone said yes in the communication channel. A variety of weapons and various combat techniques bloom on the battlefield. In order to save their lives, both sides used all methods. As for the White Gods, although they were attacked in the camp, because the camp was built in a rough way, there was no defense at all. The two teenagers timed their attack extremely accurately, arriving at the critical point where the two White God-type troops switched defenses. Therefore, the White God-type defenders had no time to react to this contact, and they were attacked by the Black God-type troops who were very close at hand. There was no negotiation or communication between the two sides at all. From the beginning, it was in full swing and directly entered a state of intense war. Thousands of people faced off against tens of thousands of people, and among the tens of thousands of people, there were several at the venerable level and one in the invincible realm. And the troops led by this young man were only two of them at the starry sky level. They are not at the same level of strength at all. However, because of the young people's unique mentality, their blood was boiling and they killed fearlessly. Puff puff. Corpses littered the fields. The attack was unexpected, and the defenders on the outskirts of the White God Department suffered heavy casualties. 3 minutes are up, back away. After yelling in the channel, the faces of the two boys and girls changed wildly. The aura of the venerable level. They only felt that an aura that could not belong to the starry sky level was revealed from the depths of the White God Department camp. Several other venerable level auras, as well as invincible level auras far beyond the venerable level ones, also vaguely complement each other. It's not that invincible realm and others are unwilling to fight, they can only sit in the middle, because the Black God Department's troops only have 1,000 people. If they are lured away by these 1,000 people, they may fall into the trap of diverting the tiger away from the mountain. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2901. Or it is possible that there are more than 2 invincibles hidden among these 1,000 people. If the invincibles in their unit go out to kill the enemy, they might be ambushed. Therefore, they could only send a venerable level warrior to fight, see how the battle was going, and then decide whether to go out in full force and devour the 1,000 Black God type troops whole. Get out, get out, get out. The officers and soldiers of the Black God Department quickly rushed into the forest. They don't just come out to be death squads casually. The Black Gods are in a good situation, so there is no need to use tactics like death squads. There was a space crack in the Black God system in the forest, and they drilled directly into it. Although they could no longer enter the underworld in large numbers, they still had no problem traveling at close range. The venerable killer is coming. The brothers in front cannot resist it. Xiao Wu and the girl's brother looked at each other. Let's go. Although these 2 people only have the low-level strength of Xing Kong, don't forget one thing, that is, they have been personally inherited by Jia Yan's 2 clones. This is not the inheritance of an ordinary character. Even if Jia Yan's clone conceals his identity, the skills he transmits are by no means ordinary. And for these 2 people, Jia Yan once taught him the 2-person teaming method that he had developed in this world. Ordinary Black God series team-up tactics require at least 3 people to have a more appropriate attack power, and then there will be a qualitative change. However, these 2 are different. The combined skills they possess far exceed those of ordinary Black God type troops and powerful men. Displayed at this moment, the situation suddenly changed. 2 starry sky levels? How brave! The venerable level powerhouse who flew in from low altitude saw the Black God type troops retreating in large numbers, and was about to attack with blazing eyes, but he felt 2 auras locking onto him quickly. Looking at the strength of the person again, he almost burst out laughing. He simply gave up attacking ordinary Black God soldiers and rushed towards the direction of these 2 energy reactions. Before anyone arrived, a voice sounded first, "You bastards of the Black Gods, go to hell." "Humph, you can feel for yourself whether I am a bastard or not." Among the 2 voices, it was obviously a woman's voice. The 2 came together and directly displayed an attack power that was enough to shock even the venerable level. Although both of them are from the Black God sect, there are also various factions within the Black God section. Jia Yan took advantage of the energy differences between the factions and taught them how to superimpose energy and cooperate with each other in combat. Therefore, although the methods used by these 2 men are not earth-shattering, they are earth-shattering and even more bizarre and profound. One person used a fist to take over the energy blast power of the other person. The power of the fist was greatly increased, and he directly fought with the venerable level being. Although he was beaten and rolled backwards, he also stopped the venerable level offensive. "Come down." The other person was flying between sand and rocks. Before the energy shockwave dissipated, he took over the power of the boxer in an instant, causing the main power conversion in an instant. He got close to him, directly faced the mistaken master level, and used his sword skills. The venerable level was so shocked that he almost lost his soul. Fortunately, the attacker's strength was indeed not high. Even if the 2 people's powers were superimposed, it would only frighten him. He quickly gathered the strength that he did not go all out due to contempt, and quickly resisted with thunderous means. After this blow, the figure enveloped the attacker in an unparalleled manner, and his sword light was taken away by his venerable level aura, and he almost launched the most violent counterattack. However, The boxer who retreated at this time rushed to him again. 18 Dragon subduing palms. Black dragons emerged from the sky one after another, and struck the white god-type venerable like 5 thunderbolts. The man was so clumsy that he couldn't move away to attack the girl holding the sword. Walk. Taking advantage of the white god-type venerable level being held back by the 18 dragon subduing palms, the young man quickly stepped forward and grabbed the girl's shoulders. The two of them superimposed their strength and went straight into the depths of the jungle at the speed of wandering ghosts. When the venerable level defused the black giant dragons and chased them into the forest, there were still no human figures anywhere. In this short period of time, together with all the black god-type soldiers, they escaped from the capture of the white god-type pursuers and got into the black cracks in the woods. Damn it! The white god-level venerable was furious and turned the entire forest into ashes with one palm. You must know that he, a noble-level person with a very high position in the army, came to arrest the troops led by 2 mere noble-level men. Unexpectedly, despite all his efforts, nothing was captured. Now the disgrace was lost to Siberia. Humph, you are a dignified and respected person. You can't even catch such a group of guys from the Black God system? Just wait and write a mistake report when you come back. The cold snort of another venerable behind him made this venerable feel extremely humiliated. This venerable level is just like him. He is just a low-level venerable who is usually not dealt with by both parties. If you talk so much nonsense, I don't mind if you come to arrest these guys next time. You can even try the 2 venerable levels to see if they are just ordinary starry sky levels as you said. This person was not one to swallow his anger. He looked back and started a confrontation with his colleague deep in the camp. Okay, you two, the other party is well prepared. Being able to escape from being hunted by a venerable level must be a strategy they have prepared. There is no need to hurt the harmony because of temporary disappointment. Immediately, another powerful person from the White God family stepped forward to act as peacemaker. Both parties accepted the peace deal without a smile, and the matter was dismissed temporarily. In fact, this is the biggest dilemma that the White God sect faces today. Although the strong ones are concentrated near the White God Kingdom, there are too many strong ones and too few low-level soldiers, so they always have to work together. And then because issues such as resources, profit grabbing by subordinates, regional birth, etc. have evolved into antagonisms that almost cover the entire White God system from top to bottom. Both of you, it seems that we guessed wrong about this battle. There must be no ambush in their unit. Yes, I can take action myself next time. Everyone made plans for the invincible realm one by one. The invincible man carefully considered his words and said calmly, since they are planning to take advantage of others and attack us from the side, we cannot sit still and wait for death. I will do it myself next time. Sir, this must not be done. The black gods will definitely know that I can't sit still. This time it's just a small fight. Maybe there will be a strong person ambushing behind me next time. According to what you mean, are we just watching our troops being wasted away by them with small groups? Haha, when you two talk like this, we have nothing to say. I'm just analyzing the war. What are we talking about? If we accuse you like this, wouldn't we be able to say that you are a spy from the Black God Department who came to disrupt my White God Department troops? You are slanderous and slander me like this, and I will fight you. Who is afraid of whom? The subordinates all started arguing. The situation may even get out of control. Shut up. Invincible Realm finally couldn't help but spoke with a headache. As an invincible state, his restraint on his subordinates is not very high. This is because most of the subordinates in this army are not the team he has always led. Everyone has different births, backgrounds, and personalities. It is also difficult to grasp, which creates a situation that is difficult for him to grasp. Sir, my suggestions are here. How you decide is up to you. After being mentioned to the point of pain, Do you want to give up your choice again? It seems that I really didn't blame you wrongly. I'm so angry. What do you mean you didn't blame me wrongly? You want to say that I am really a spy from the Black God system? Haha, very good. Since you are so sure, arrest me. But before that, I also suspect that you are a person from the Black God system. Please cooperate. Investigate and see which of us is the real spy. The invincible realm rubbed his forehead, and suddenly felt that he didn't want to take care of things anymore. After all, we finally managed to calm down the two main quarrels, and finally figured out the next strategy, which is for a few venerables to follow the enemy's attack and launch a counter-attack first, preferably to cut off their attack. As a retreat, in this way, even if the enemy has any ambush, they will show up in advance. If there is no ambush, it is probably the result of them swallowing up the baited Black God-type troops in one gulp. The decision was made and everyone was ready. As a result, we waited all the way until dawn, when everyone was listless, but the Black God department still didn't come. It seems that there is only one unit that attacked us. Sure enough, I guessed it right. The Black Gods are just disgusting us. Humph, they just don't dare to show up. I will tell them how terrifying my White God system is. Tisk, tisk, you're so talkative. Why haven't you heard of our Bashan family having a master like Xiantai before? You. The two strong men of the White God system who could not deal with them began to talk to each other again. Everyone was already used to it and ignored them at all. Rest, the Black Gods will not dare to attack during the day. The White God department's invincible state was also overwhelmed, and he directly ordered his subordinates to take a rest. What shocked him was that the Black Gods, who had promised not to make sneak attacks during the day, actually sent troops to make a sneak attack. In other words, it was the same troop that was not sent at all but came for a sneak attack. The troops didn't know where they went through the cracks. When they emerged again, they were obviously well fed and rested. Kill. Kill him while he's sick. All the White Gods are resting and sleeping. If we have a chance, we will reward any White God soldiers we kill. The troops of the Black God department, what they were talking about, were obviously mobilized before the war. The two generals leading the team were still the same two childish figures. It was Xiao Wu and the young queen brother. The two of them were full of energy, and seized the golden opportunity of the White God department's lack of energy, and directly attacked the outside of the White God department's camp. The poor Bashan camp was ravaged yesterday. Although it was repaired overnight, it was far from the standard of a normal camp. The entire defense fortifications had not been built, let alone those powerful weapons that could be used to deal with strong men. Under the personal leadership of these two men, they slashed into the White God's camp with overwhelming force. The Black God soldiers behind them surged in and killed everyone on sight. You guys from the Black God sect. How dare you come? Well done. As for the White God department, although they were shocked, those who were ready to receive it could not say that they were not. At least one of the venerables insisted on his opinion and believed that the Black Gods would attack them while they were resting. He believed that the Black Gods would come back and squatted around the camp with their men. There is another person who is the venerable level who was scolded by the attacker yesterday for not being able to win against the 2-star levels. This is the time when enemies meet and become extremely jealous. It's you two again, just in time, let me kill you with my own money and profit. When the venerable level man saw the two young men, his eyes lit up, and then he rushed forward full of murderous intent, intending to kill them both directly. As long as he kills these two, he can save some face from yesterday's loss, and it won't be considered a loss of life. Bring it on. The two young men were also very stubborn. When they saw two venerables in front of them, they dared not to retreat. They straightened their weapons and charged back in the direction of the two of them. Two starry sky level beings dare to charge back towards the venerable level. The two venerables were a little dumbfounded. This is too courageous. But being brave doesn't mean you are strong in combat. Since the two of them wanted to give away their lives and asked Chiyuan, they would accept it without any ceremony. The two venerable levels were worried that they had no merit. They could harvest 2 starry sky levels, and they were obviously not the heads of ordinary starry sky level beings. Their career in the military was also considered significant, so they simply smiled and thought be accepting. Unexpectedly, the two young figures suddenly smiled again before they came into contact with the two venerables. The figure is no longer so relentless in attacking the two venerables. Instead, he dodged to both sides. Behind them, a man with messy hair and tattered clothes and another handsome middle-aged Taoist figure appeared. "Master, it's up to you." The two of them were laughing and joking. The two people who suddenly appeared smiled indifferently. "You two little guys, you also said that you suddenly ran to the base camp and dragged us two here for what purpose? It turns out that it is hard work." The beggar shook his head helplessly. "On the contrary, the Taoist priest was a little upright. Since you are waiting to speak, it is difficult for me to refuse, so I will do you a favor. Shen Shen Neo Tao, since 2 more people are here to die, I just want to send you on the road together." "Are these 2 their masters?" "Huh, with the appearance of an apprentice, I guess you 2 are not good people, so I will send you on your way." When the two venerables met these 2 people and felt the love and care for their apprentices on their faces, and the vague feeling of looking down on them, they suddenly became very angry. Although the 2 are obviously not ordinary people, they consider themselves to be at the venerable level. No matter how powerful the opponent is, they can't be invincible. Even if they can't beat them, when the next few colleagues and comrades sense the battle here, everyone will we all work together. Why are we afraid that just 2 people can't succeed? Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2902. Therefore, their purpose is to test the strength of these 2 people. If possible, kill them. It is a great achievement. If they cannot kill them, they can at least hold them back. As soon as support comes, no matter whether he is a master or an apprentice, he will be arrested. "Oh? You want to capture me?" The Taoist priest's eyes were filled with a strange color. The beggar laughed loudly. "You have such a crazy tone, even the invincible realm dare not say that. You are looking for death." "Invincible? What a shame." The face of the approaching venerable level was sneer. The Taoist priest and the beggar who flew out behind the 2 starry sky level teenagers were at the highest level of the venerable level, maybe even a little short of it. "You still want to describe yourself as invincible? It's simply shameless to put gold on one's own face." They were sure that as long as they caught up with these people, they would beat them until their parents would not be able to recognize them. There is no need to chase the 2 venerables. The beggar and the Taoist priest jumped out of the crowd and ran counter to the fleeing disciples. Shocking power emerged from their palms. "You are laughing at my apprentice, beggar, right? Then let me show you the real 18 dragon subduing palms." The beggar clapped his palms, and struck several moves in flight. A majestic black dragon roared out with each move. "Haha, Pandeo doesn't have such wonderful palm skills. This layman doesn't like my disciple's swordsmanship, so I'll let you learn Pandeo's swordsmanship." The Taoist priest said something sonorously and forcefully, and the 5-foot green blade was unsheathed. One person held a palm and the other held a sword, and they counterattacked towards the 2 venerables. The 2 venerables of the White God department are by no means unwary. After all, knowing that the 2 of them were at the venerable level, they still dared to fight back. Presumably, as long as they were not Lengzi, they would not be incompetent. "How dare you go to Liangshan without 2s and 3s? So it cannot be said that they underestimated the enemy." However, even so, when the 2 strong men's attacks came to their heads, the 2 were still frightened. One Buddha ascended to heaven and 2 Buddhas were born. Horrible. If you don't meet them head on, you won't be able to understand the horrors of these two seemingly rudimentary existences of the Venerable. The black power they control is like invincible energy that is so pure that it collides with this powerful force. It is like a scattered water flow that hits a stone that is smaller but denser, directly. It was smashed into pieces. Snapped. The two venerable level beings looked majestic. However, under the attack of these two men, they couldn't even withstand a single attack, so they threw them back with blood pouring from their mouths. This. Very scary. Invincible realm. The last thought of these two people was that the approaching Yi Chi must be two invincible realms. Sure enough, this black god family must have a conspiracy. Two invincible realms, their troops are in danger. It's a pity that the two men's eyes dimmed before they could say their warning words. How brave! An angry voice sounded behind him. Invincible Realm looked at the two venerable level comrades ahead who were defeated in one round of fighting with the enemy, and his face was extremely ugly. This time he was caught off guard. As an invincible state, he was feeling the two incoming black god type experts just like the two white god type venerables. No matter how he looked at them, he felt that they did not look like very terrifying existences, but two ordinary people. It's just the beginning level of an ordinary venerable person. At most, there are middle-level venerables, but no more. He could kill 3 or 5 of these guys by himself. He didn't expect that his two comrades, who usually brag loudly about their prowess, would be so quick in a fight with a difficult character. Silver Gun Waxhead. The beggar and the Taoist priest looked at the invincible realm who appeared with several great sages. Without saying a word, they rushed directly in the direction of the invincible realm like lightning and flint. In fact, they did not really participate in the ambush battle between the two apprentices. They had other tasks. Moreover, the real body was still in retreat. Every minute and every second now was a waste of the real body's retreat energy. If it affects the effect of retreat, then it is really a sin. So it needs to be resolved quickly. Master. The two apprentices behind them originally wanted to fight and escape, using all kinds of sword tactics to attack the east and the west. However, they did not expect that their respective masters usually taught them various tactical skills, but in actual combat, they actually fought. So direct? Maybe it's too strong. The two of them looked at each other with fear. There was an invincible person over there, plus several venerables. Support the two strong men. They quickly gave instructions to more than 1,000 subordinates in the communication channel, and then the two of them stopped flinching and got directly into the enemy's army. If the two masters can delay most of the enemy's powerful venerables, they must still have some resistance against the starry sky level beings. After all, after the two of them work together, they can be regarded as a venerable. The only thing I was worried about was the two masters. They had to sneak into the enemy army alone. If they were not careful, they might be surrounded and killed, and they would definitely regret it for the rest of their lives. Master, you and I should not be the kind of brainless people. Just cooperate with the two of you in the battle. The young queen brother is still smarter. Seeing the masters charging into the enemy camp as if they were in an uninhabited territory, and in a moment, groups of people turned on their backs, I immediately saw some clues. Those two masters were not fools, and they would not risk death. Yes, my master is greedy for life and afraid of death, and he is also very cunning. How can he risk death? Xiao Wu reacted and nodded in agreement. You boy, the arranger behind the scenes, wait. There was a sound in his ears that made Xiao Wu's heart speed up a few beats, and Xiao Wu was startled. The master's ears are probably dog ears. He can hear it even from such a distance during the battle. Apparently the young lady's brother also discovered this and almost burst out laughing on the spot. Don't say any more. We are outnumbered. If we are not careful, the whole army will be wiped out. Take command well. This is the time for us to show our master our secret skills. Yes, We can't let our master's momentum weaken. Xiao Wu was filled with indignation and secretly glanced at the direction where the two masters were fighting. However, with this guilty peek, his whole body felt as if he had been struck by lightning, and he was stunned. I saw a venerable level figure in the battlefield during the confrontation. He was directly swept by the tail of the black dragon. He vomited blood and flew out of the battle circle. His eyes turned white and he died at the sight. Is the master so fierce? The black dragon is naturally a move of the 18 dragon subduing palms, but the giant dragon is much larger than the one released from his palm, and is hundreds of meters long. 18 palm moves. There are a total of 18 giant dragons, each of which has approximately the combat power of the first level of the Venerable. Gudu. Xiao Wu couldn't help but swallowed, thinking that his master was so tall. He had been despising him before, and he was really blind. But when he thought about it again, he felt ecstatic in his heart. With such a big thigh holding him, and he seemed to be the master's only disciple, wouldn't he be able to walk sideways from now on? Clang! A long sword sliced through the starry sky-level enemy in front of him. The young queen frowned and looked at the absent-minded friend beside her. Following his gaze and seeing the main battlefield, she couldn't help but take a breath. Those two are so awesome. As one of the disciples, the young queen not only did not have the slightest idea of hugging Xiao, but instead felt a great sense of crisis. The master is so terrible. As a disciple, if he is not good at fighting, wouldn't he lose the master's face? Xiao Wu, if you are still distracted during the war, be careful and you will die. Oh, sorry. Xiao Wu's expression changed, and he quickly reacted and used the 18 dragon subduing palms he had learned. Although these 18 palms look pretty cool, each one is 3 to 5 meters long, but compared with the black dragons in the distance, each one is 100 meters long. Xiao Wu always feels that he has only learned the surface of the master. With such a three-legged cat's kung fu, he could be so arrogant on the battlefield. It was simply a misfortune for the sect. Xiao Wu made a decision. After the war, he went to find his master and pestered him to teach him more tricks. Don't think blindly and fight hard. There are more and more enemy troops around, and the crowd is surging. The young queen brother suddenly became anxious when she saw that there were dead and wounded among the soldiers under her command. It is impossible for a war to be without casualties. However, for women, many perceptual emotions can easily affect their judgment. This was the case now. Even her own troops were considered brave and good at fighting, but once there were casualties, she started to think about other things. Don't worry about the casualties, take good care of the troops, and don't think about what you have. Xiao Wu was beside her and drank lightly to the young lady's brother. To be honest, in a normal war, Xiao Wu is often the character that worries Brother Wang. However, once the war gets more intense or the casualties are heavy, the situation will be reversed. The current situation is exactly like this. It has become Xiao Wu to take care of Brother Wang. The two of them are so complementary. Okay. It didn't take long for the sky to start raining lightly. I don't know whether it was because it was supposed to rain in the first place, or whether it was due to climate change caused by the battle between the strong. The 1,000-man troop that was not supposed to contend with the army actually fought against the 20,000-strong White God clan troop with the help of two top masters. What's even more terrifying is that one of the two top masters mastered the exquisite Black Dragon technique. With one move, 1,800-meter dragons wreaked havoc on the spot, killing countless ordinary soldiers. Even if the Venerable level fought against these giant dragons, they would at most be a draw. One Venerable level even encountered a full-force attack from one of them without noticing. He was torn into pieces on the spot and died beyond hope. As for the Taoist priest, people who originally thought he had no tricks quickly realized that he was unusual. Not only was he able to fight back and forth with the three venerable mid-level masters, but when he saw the ordinary troops below, he was almost surrounded by the White God-type troops. His face moved slightly, and he swung out his sword. The imperceptible energy, under the indescribable astonishing control, dispersed numerous spiritual flying swords. Each of these flying swords gave birth to two, two gave birth to three, and three gave birth to all things, filling the sky in an instant. Hey! Following the Taoist priest's light scolding, the flying swords fell down overwhelmingly. Many white god soldiers were unnoticed and were pierced through the chest and heart by these flying swords. Everyone gasped. You wait to die. The one in the invincible realm was the first to become furious. As a leader, he is the soul of this army. Likewise, this army is also the main basis for his future promotion of military merit. Now under his command, the army he led could not even defeat the Black God-type troops with a strength of 1,000 people. Speaking of which, even if he claimed that the enemy had too powerful people, it was really unjustifiable. In this way, his career will definitely be interrupted. Haha, Your Excellency just said to die, why haven't you gotten rid of any of us yet? The being who confronts this invincible state head-on is none other than the beggar himself. Although he released the 18 dragon subduing palms and had to be distracted while operating them, he was still in an orderly manner when confronting this invincible man, as if he was not the one controlling so much energy to fight in the air. Such an existence is also extremely difficult for the invincible realm. At least now, he no longer believes that these two people who suddenly appeared are the first-level sages. Maybe it's the two invincible realms, where the energy is deliberately weakened, pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger. You too, if you are willing to retreat here, if we meet again on the battlefield in the future, I will definitely sell your face. Hey, you have a lot of face. If you want to lose the war, you ask me to let you go in order to save face. Then can you go to the Black God and ask him to give you face and spare the White God? Anyway, you have a lot of face. That is to say, on the battlefield, the soldiers on both sides were able to hold back their laughter while listening to the ridiculing words of the strong beggar. Normally, someone would have laughed. That's right, you have too much face. You have to let people go to save you. It's like a person with a crooked head can say such shameless things. You have so much face, why not ask Black God and White God to give you face and end the war? You have more face anyway. However, even if they don't smile, there are still people who can't help but look tense in some low-intensity battlefields. That person in the invincible realm was almost about to erupt like a volcano. However, he knew that no matter how angry he was, when he was unable to kill the opponent for a while, this kind of rage was nothing more than incompetent rage. So he could only look for other ways. Boom. At the same time, the two sides once again attacked each other without any tricks, and the two took half a step back evenly. The eyes of the invincible strong man lit up. He could clearly feel that the existence of the beggar in front of him seemed to be far behind him in terms of overall energy. Only in terms of energy intensity, it far exceeds his own, just like the comparison between metal and clay. Even though he couldn't defeat this beggar man for the time being, he saw new possibilities. This person's overall strength is far from the invincible state. The strength at this time is probably what secret method he burst out. But any secret method like this will definitely have a time effect. I only need to wait to consume him to death.